Hello and merry time zone friends, it's Matt here today bringing you a very special demo for the channel as part of Choose Wisely Festival 2025. Today we are going to be playing Imperial Grace, which is a female-fronted medieval visual novel. We get to customize our character, romance some NPCs, and run a country. What could be better? I'm looking forward to this one, so without further ado, grab your cuppers and settle in. First of all, a big thank you to Choose Wisely Festival for having us along with this. We are doing some live streams and a couple of recorded videos as part of the festival this year. If you're seeing this when it first gets posted, it will be running from December 8th until December 15th, 2025. If you have a chance to go and check it out, absolutely go and do so. I'll leave links to the Steam page and all of the socials information for everything you need to see below, and specifically for Imperial Grace. Thank you for sending me a key to this today. This was really cool. I hope you guys enjoy watching this one. I am going to have a lot of fun with it. I am sure this is exactly up my alley. We got to play as a medieval person in power. I don't know what the technical term is for the role we have, but I guess we're going to find out today. Let's take a look at the Steam page together now, have a look at the trailer, read up on the description, and then we'll check out the settings and get into a new game.
The Collegian Empire is in mourning. The brutal demise of its emperor has thrown the realm into turmoil, leaving it at the mercy of its covetous neighbors and the schemes of its greedy nobility. As its new Empress, your task will be to usher your empire in a new era, one of stability and prosperity. Manage your resources judiciously, become a shrewd leader, and take care who you let into your heart. Your fate and that of your subjects is in your hands. So, act wisely.
Imperial Grace is a visual novel about romance, medieval intrigue, and political strategy. Will you rule with your head or your heart? It's developed by Synstoria and published by Abiding Bridge. It is also tagged as an otome LGBTQ+ choices matter game, which is exactly what this festival is all about. It's called Choose Wisely because it's all about celebrating games that have multiple choices, where your choices matter in the game. And by gosh, I know our choices are going to matter in this game. We have multiple choices, not just of people that we can maybe have a little bit of a flirt with, but also there's probably going to be things we have to choose between when it comes to us running our country, which is what it looks like we are going to be doing. I just want to give a big thank you to the team at Imperial Grace for sending this over to me. I definitely want to check this out today. They sent us a little bit extra information as well, so let me just go and have a read into what we're going to do today so you guys get an extra view into what we're going to be doing. We play as the new Empress of Calidia, and you have to rule your country and survive plots and shenanigans with the help of your hot advisors. The game's LGBTQ+ friendly, which we love. It does have a mature tone, and there is something in the settings to turn off suggestive scenes, which we have done for the purpose of this video. And there is also optional resource management and a semi-customizable main character who has she, her pronouns. I am very much here for all of these things today. I think it's going to be a really interesting balance between balancing resources and being this powerful Empress character and seeing like we have to survive plots and shenanigans, and we have hot advisors. Honestly, there is nothing about this that I don't like. They do also have the game over on itch.io, so I will leave that as well as the Steam page link in the description down below. But let's get back into the game and have a look at the settings together, and then we'll get into the game. I'm excited to see what we can do today. Let's go. First thing I want to note, the sound of the menu as you go between these different things is the most satisfying sound. Oh, it almost sounds like little gems or little like coins falling into a glass jar or something. Oh, it's so nice. Okay, let's take a look at the settings. We have a few options here, not a huge amount, but just enough for the demo, which is going to be really good for us. We have the option of 2 languages, which is fantastic. You don't often see multiple languages, especially in demos, but this does have English and French available. We have windowed and full screen mode. I have it in windowed mode right now, and we have suggestive scenes set to fade to black for suggestive content. For visual comfort, we have turned off the flashing lights and shaking screen, but you can keep those on. And I've not changed any of the volumes. This is how it was set at default. We go over here onto the text tab now. It says this is how the text is going to appear. I haven't changed any of these yet, but we can change this to be fast forward red text or unread text. And we have stop skipping after a choice. I'm not sure what that's going to be, but that's fine. We'll leave it as it is for right now. We have 3 different fonts, which I do love. We have default, we have simple, and then we have dyslexic font as well. We love a good bit of accessibility, so I'll keep this on for you guys in case anybody needs this. And if you don't need it, it's still very much legible, so I think that's a great little font there. And the one thing that I would like to see here potentially is changing the titles here into the same font, but you do see the options are changed, which is great. You then have text size, and we can turn this all the way up if you want. So if you need larger text, you can. And we also have a toggle here for increased text contrast, which is fantastic. You see it goes from like an orangey color to much more of a bluish white, which we will do to make it easier to see today. I am actually going to turn the text size up just a little bit. I think that's going to be nice. And then the last thing we have available is this extra tab, which says dressing, map and resources, gallery, and the credits. We can't click on the first 2 right now. The gallery is locked, which is not available in the demo. In the full game, this will be available. And then we have the credits as well. So just to have a quick look while we summarize before we go, this is the full team. We have Ayael, Arapso, Aldeas, Benjamin, Pierre G, and Alexandra, and I apologize if I said any of your names wrong. And then we have all of the additional work stuff down there. So thank you to all of you guys for doing this. This is so good looking already. I love the music. I love the way it looks. I'm excited for this one. Let's get into it, shall we? This game is intended for a mature audience. It contains many themes that could offend the sensitivity of younger players. The complete list of trigger warnings is available in our store page, which I do appreciate. I don't want to get any trigger warning spoilers for myself, so I won't be looking it up beforehand, but if you do want to go and see those, click on the link down in the description and go and check the full list of warnings on that page before you proceed. Feel free to pause the video here and go and check it. Otherwise, let's get into it. You are going to play a demo version of the game, thus the content might be subject to change and some features may be missing, such as the diplomacy feature. Alright, I've shown some tips and skip all tutorials. Let's show the tips. Honestly, I'm quite happy to be shown how to play the game at the beginning. Visual novels do have a lot of the similar kind of features of just clicking through text, but if there is anything specific to this game, I would like for them to be able to tell us how to do it. So click anywhere on the screen to progress the story. Use your mouse wheel to go back even after a choice. You can fasten the text display in settings. Several accessibility features are available in the options for your gaming comfort, especially if you are dyslexic, photosensitive, or epileptic, so don't hesitate to check the corresponding functions. That's what we were looking at before. We have the options to turn off the screen shake and flashing lights and change the text, so I love that they've included that. You can also check your resources from the extra menu at any time. Have fun! I intend to. Normal mode or story mode? Okay, so in normal mode, you need to spend your resources carefully. In story mode, you have infinite resources. I am really intrigued by the resource management, so we are going to do normal mode for this video so we can have a look at that side of it as well. If that's something that you guys are interested in, you can get a glimpse of it in today's video, hopefully. We'll see how much we can get access to. I'm curious, what kind of resources do we have to manage? Alrighty, so here's the customization. There is a semi-customizable character. As we saw in the trailer, there are some options for like skin tone, possibly for hair color as well. And it looks like we can change our name as well. So I'm going to change our name to Maddie. And then we have a few things here we can click on. We have blessed by Basan? I'm going to say Basan, I'm not sure how to say that. Blessed by Amatera, blessed by Horrel, or blessed by Myriad. Ooh, okay, so we get different bonuses depending on which we choose. We either get starting bonus in army, religion, influence, or money. If you choose blessed by Basan, it says, you have loved fighting since you were a child. Although you weren't allowed on the battlefield, you were in excellent physical shape, and your swordsmanship rivals that of a man. Blessed by Amatera says, while you were younger, you almost became a scholar. Your love of reading and learning has given you knowledge in many fields, including astronomy, theology, and botany. Ooh. Blessed by Horrell says you have mastered the art of diplomacy and eloquence. You can improvise inspiring speeches in an instant, and you know the first names of every noble over 3 generations. And Blessed by Myriad says numbers and resources management hold no secrets for you, and you have excellent relations with merchants, are good at mental arithmetic, and know all the subtleties of tithes and other taxes, not only from Collegia, but also from your neighbours. I'm kind of torn between Amatera and Horrell. Diplomacy and elegance with inspiring speeches, or knowledge in many fields including astronomy, theology, and botany. I like the botany part. I might be a little bit biased on that. I like plants. I guess it depends. Do we want more influence or religion to start? I'm very curious how these are going to come into play. Army and money makes sense. Influence makes sense, but I wonder how religion plays into all of this. You know what? Shall we start with a bonus in religion just to see? I am curious how that's going to affect the story, so let's just do it. We're going to have extra skills in astronomy, theology, and botany. We were almost going to become a scholar, and then we went, you know what? We're going to run a country instead. Let's go. And then this is how we can change our skin. So we have light, tan, we have medium, and we have deep. So we have a few different skin tones here, and then we can choose. We have freckles, beauty marks, some really great options here. I actually really like this medium skin tone. This is absolutely beautiful. The freckles look stunning. Beauty marks are interesting as well. We see them, they come up underneath the eyes and one above the lip as well. Okay, the hair type, contrary to the hairstyle, cannot be modified during the game and will be taken into account during illustrations. Interesting. So we can change our hair style, but we can't change our hair type. We have straight hair, wavy. Oh, look at all the different hairstyles. Oh my gosh, they're so pretty. Okay, hold on. So let's go through them one at a time. You have straight hair here. Hairstyles for this type of hair. We have all of these different, like, tied up bubble things. With this really beautiful... Oh, hello. I was trying to see if I could spin. We can actually zoom out a little bit here, which is great. We can't turn her around, but that's fine. We have this, like, lovely updo. This beautiful side braid, which is really nice. And then we have something here with the braids pulled to the back of the head. Under wavy, we have this. I love this wavy hair, is so pretty. So we've got like a half up, half down situation with a bunch of ringlets. This is like just full big curls. The side braid, which is like the slightly messy kind of look. And then we have this one, which looks like it's a mostly up with some down the front. And then we have curly and dreads as well. Ooh, okay. So we have... Oh, this one is stunning. Wait, I love this. With the piece in the hair. Oh, that is pretty. Wait, these are all so good. Oh. And then what do we have under dreads? Wait, these look so good. They've done an amazing job in the way they've made these look. It is very tempting to go with something like this. I wish we could change the hair color. But I don't see anything on here about changing that. It seems like all we can do is change the hairstyle. So it's between those two for me. We'll have a look at the eyes and then we'll go back and just like fully decide. Oh, we do. I forgot about this. Yes, they show this in the trailer. You can choose heterochromia, which means you can change the color of both eyes individually. You can say have like, yes, look at this. Oh, we can like completely. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. Okay, hang on. This is about as close to my brand colors as I can get. I tried to type it in and it wouldn't seem to let me do it. Is if I go in here, say right eye, if I do import, oh wait, it will do it. Never mind. I just spent ages typing all that in and I didn't need to. So let me I'm actually gonna do this. B44A09. That is my brand color. So now my eyes are my brand color, so my channel. Wait, the hair situation, it was either gonna be this one or the dreads. Honestly, the more I saw the dreads, the more I'm like, I feel like this is for me. It's just, oh, it's so pretty. So we're going with the Blessed by Amatera civility with the bonus in religion. The skin tone we have is medium with freckles and beauty mark 3. We have the dreads hair with the first styling choice here, and our eyes. We have the heterochromia, left eye being our orange brand color and the right eye being the green brand color. I am absolutely here for it. Let's go. Okay, customizations on this screen will not be reflected in the illustrations. The match option adapts your outfit to the illustration, not the other way around. To change your outfit during the game, click on extra and then outfit. Okay, so Oh, they've given me way too many options here. Oh, oh, look at this. This is so pretty. Oh, wait, and they have descriptions as well. Oh my god. This is so good. Like, the way they've done this is amazing. So the dressing gown is made from pure ombe silk and it's the softest outfit you'll ever know. Then we have this beautiful dress. It's a nightgown given to you by Miranda, a palace servant. And she made it for you for your 18th birthday so she can incorporate the pink ribbons your mother had given her. Wait, oh my gosh, that's so cute. I know we have this beautiful soft silk and I do like this, but this dress was made for us. And it's got our mother's silk on it. I feel like we have to. Right, our casual outfit, we'll have our hair like this. Outfit, we can choose between a few different dresses here. Oh, these are good. The simple but elegant dress belonged to your late mother. Your father gave it to you for your 16th birthday and has always loved seeing you wear it. This one was inspired by Meridian peasant dresses. This modest dress, despite its expensive red dye, is very pleasant to wear, especially in summer. I do like this actually. Like, it would be me that finds the peasant dress one of the prettiest ones. I'm a cheapskate and apparently it shows. I have this really beautiful number. This extravagant dress created by one of Meridian's greatest couturiers was given to you by Marjorie for your 18th birthday. And then this dark sleek number in Meridian, they call this type of dress a husband maker. Wow. Okay. I actually kind of want to go for the peasant dress. I really like this peasant dress. I actually think it's really nice. Actually, there's more options. There's a lot more options. Wait a second. Oh, stop. This dress with pure gold thread embroidery was worn by Queen Melisandre I for her coronation ceremony. It is a national treasure which is passed from generation to generation, but rarely worn because of its weight, symbolically and literally. Imagine this being your casual outfit. It's the one that a queen wore for their coronation. It's heavy and it's symbolic and we wear it for our casual outfit. Please. It is said that during the Great Liberation, Helena, a slave, protected her sister by killing her masters and then continued to wear this dress whose long sleeves were soaked in their blood. Since then, the style of dyeing has become widespread in Vargas, inviting the nobility to a certain humility. Ooh, I do quite like the story behind that actually. She killed her masters and then wore the dress with it soaked in the blood as a statement. Damn. Oh, hello, the puffed sleeves and trousers. That's a power move. You ordered this inappropriate and extremely flashy outfit out of solidarity after a countess criticized Rebecca Finellime's warrior outfit. I don't know how to say that name, I'm so sorry. Oh, hello, with the gold and the, like, everything about this is giving sexy dress. A gift from a former ambassador of Vargas, because you reminded him of the famous Daphne, a heroic figure of the Great Liberation. There's so many good options. So on this first page, my favorite one is this peasant dress, but now that I've seen these other options here, oh, I kind of want to wear this gold dress because it's like, why? Why would we do this? Because we can. I mean, if it's for the casual outfit, we can come back and change this. Let's put this, because this is one of the other ones I like. This second page has probably got all of my favorite outfits on them. I love that we have the power suit. It was like ordered in solidarity. We have this really sexy number given to us. I love the significance of this and the sleeves. Let's see if we can choose the same options for formal. No, actually, I'm going to change and have this upright hair. Yeah, we're going to put this one where it's all on top of the head for casual. And then this one for our formal. I'm happy with that. And then let's have a look at the outfits here. Are they the same outfits? They appear to be. In that case then, let's make this our formal outfit. And then we have the sleeves, our casual. Oh, we can't choose a fight one. So you can only choose this one if you chose the background for Basan, I think. Alright, and up here when it says switch outfit to match the illustration, that's a toggle you can turn on. And it says at the start of a scene that have an illustration CG, the game will automatically switch your outfit, hairstyle, etc. to match the one used in the illustration, as we don't have the means to make every variation. We can choose some jewellery to go with some of these as well. Crowns! Option unlocks after your coronation. We can choose a crown! Oh, I quite like this one with this outfit, because I think the ribbon is a little bit too much with this particular outfit, and the chokers just don't quite suit the vibe. The white is quite striking, but I also like this with the red because we have the red in the rest of the outfit. It's got to be this one, I think. And then we don't have any jewelry in our nightwear. That's fine. I've spent so long in character customization, but I love it. I'm curious if there are going to be any more options in the full game. But even without the extra options, I love what we have available here. I've been filming for so long, and I haven't even started the game yet, but I am here for it. Let's get in and actually see some of the story, shall we? Let's go. Your Grace! Your Grace! A panicked voice resonated in my dream like an echo, a few moments before I understood that it came from somewhere else and woke up with a jolt, disoriented. The palpable feeling of urgency had immediately brought me to my senses, but it still took me a few seconds to recognize the advisor's voice, as well as the room I was in. Alden? What's going on? Your Highness, I bring terrible news. Your father was assassinated last night. I was ready to hear just about anything. Managing crisis was an important part of royalty after all, and yet I was completely stunned by the news. My father was dead, at the hands of an assassin, just a few rooms away from me. All the implications from this revelation bounced through my head, drenched in doubt and fear concerning my own security and the future of the realm of Calidia. I beg your pardon, Your Highness. I was too late. Pulling myself out of my lethargy, I looked down on Alexander, who knelt next to the bed, his head bent low as if the weight of his shame stopped him from getting up. Whatever went down, I knew he had nothing to be ashamed of. When I was just a child, I already admired his talents, and they grew steadfast with age and the position of general. His presence here was a relief. I didn't know the assassin's full intentions, but even if they were after me, as long as Alexander was by my side, I didn't have anything to worry about. Don't put yourself down like this. You aren't responsible for what happened. We'll bring the regicide? Oh, like regal homicide, regicide. Okay, we'll bring the regicide to justice. Still mortified, Alexander stayed on his knees. I could see his fingers twitch a little, proof he wasn't completely convinced, but he nodded his approval all the same, transported by the firmness of my voice. As for me, now that I had said it out loud, I felt that the information had settled in my mind, and I finally accepted it as truth, with a full understanding of the situation. My father, Magnus V, Emperor of Calidia, was dead. Many would have broken down after hearing such news, but for years now I hadn't held an ounce of affection for him. His death was actually good news to me. It marked the beginning of a new era, a better one, I hoped. An era for which I'd been preparing ever since I realized that this was my destiny. I was to succeed him. I was to become the Empress. But it wasn't yet time for celebration. Although I was legitimate heir to the throne, I had plenty of detractors, and I still needed to figure out why the assassination had taken place. I had many questions about the killer's identity and motivations. I was lost in thought, and it took me a while to realize that Alden and Alexandra were staring at me, worried, surely awaiting a reaction or a declaration from me. Both had known me since my early childhood. They knew the enmity I felt for the Emperor, and I trusted them enough to set all pretenses aside. But it was, perhaps, a bit inappropriate to rejoice over my future title while my father's dead corpse was still warm. After taking a deep breath, I threw off my covers and got up, eyeing them. Rejoice, pretend to be sad, or stay neutral. I love this option menu. It is very clear and it gives you the line that was said beforehand, so if you forget what was said, it reminds you here. I know a lot of visual novels don't always include that, and it's always nice because like sometimes I get so wrapped in it I forget what the question is. So the fact that it sees it, it says it down here. I love that for us. We're not going to rejoice. That's in bad taste, I think, to rejoice, but also they know us too well. Like, let's not fake it either. I think let's just stay neutral. Like, we need to stay calm. We're not going to fake it. We're not going to celebrate. Let's just be like, okay, right, let's just deal with it. Gloating seemed a tad indecent, but I could at least spare myself the pretense of being the grieving orphan that I would surely need to be in front of the court. What I feel isn't important. You don't have to worry about me. What matters most is our nation, and we all know that the sudden death of an emperor is a delicate situation. At the moment, the most important thing is to preserve the kingdom's stability. I'm counting on you to protect and serve me. This won't be an easy task, but I'm sure we can accomplish great things. This time, Alexander got up, putting his hand on his sheath as in a dignified and military posture. At your service, Highness. May the Four witness my oath. I solemnly swear that I will protect you until my dying breath. Emphatic, he bowed down before lifting his eyes up to me. I smiled and accepted his allegiance with certain poise, despite my unkempt hair and my nightgown. Marjorie, my tutor, often told me that everything about me showed nobility, that I didn't need any props to act like an empress. Today, I understood what she had meant. Alden, however, didn't seem to share the general's fervour. Forgive me, Your Majesty, for tarnishing your enthusiasm, but there is a very delicate question that I have to ask. Have you had your father killed? His abrupt question threw me off, and I stared at him, wavering between surprise and indignation. How dare you even suggest such a possibility? You're going too far, advisor. Come on, don't be offended. You said it yourself. You've hated your father since the death of your brother. You've always held him responsible for it. And your father dies on the very day of your return to the palace? Whatever your answer is, I'll accept it, but I need to know. I felt anger rise within me at these words, and I walked to the window to breathe some fresh air. After I took a few deep inhales, I finally turned around to face him and gave him my answer in a firm voice. On the one hand, my presence here isn't a coincidence. The Empress celebrates, or rather was about to celebrate, his birthday in 2 days. Half of the Empire's noblemen here. It's undeniable that the event presented the perfect opportunity to strike. The palace is swarming with unknown guards and servants. It's much harder to provide security in these circumstances. Exactly. On the other hand, your suspicions are an insult to my intelligence advisor. After a regicide, the heir is always suspected. If I had really wanted to speed up fate, you better believe I would have been smarter about it. Marjorie taught me the rules of the game. I would never risk losing everything in such a foolish way. I know my ascension to the throne will already be difficult because I'm a woman. I'll state it plainly if it can relieve your doubts, but listen closely because I will not repeat myself. No, I did not have my father assassinated. My eyes trained on him. I crossed my arms, almost daring him to contradict me as I kept a lid on my fury. Alden seemed to gauge me for a moment, then nodded in assent and apology. Please forgive me, Your Grace. As soon as possible, I'll alert the Master of Murmurs and will launch an investigation to uncover the truth and bring justice to your father. I would have preferred more vivid regrets, but under the circumstances, this was enough, and I felt my anger slowly fade away. I accept your apology. Let's not speak of this again. There are more urgent things to do. The news will, no doubt, make quite a commotion. You've asked us to swear allegiance to you. I assume you're trying to claim your rightful place as heir, Your Grace. Yes, I've always wanted to become Empress, or yes, it is my destiny. I mean, to be fair, if we are the heir, it was going to happen anyway, unless we were deciding to step down. I don't know if we want to be Empress, but it's our destiny. We're just going to accept it, and we're going to accept it with grace. It's my destiny. I heaved a deep sigh and mustered all of my determination to answer him without leaving any doubts as to my intentions. I realised a while ago that this was my destiny. Whether I like it or not, I don't really have a choice, and I'm not one to do things half-heartedly. I know there aren't many people in the direct line of succession, but if you truly don't want to, I believe one of your bastard brothers would do the trick. You know full well that my cousins would covet the position. This would mean the start of a succession war that would drown the kingdom in fire and blood. Even if by some miracle the nobility came out in favour of one of my half-brothers, there's no guarantee that it would all go well. They know nothing of politics. They'd be nothing more than puppets, or even worse, incompetents. By birth, I have a responsibility to the people of this country, and I don't intend to shirk it. In any case, even if I were to retire to my estate to manage it, I would still be a potential threat to their reign. I'll never be safe, even if I were to completely relinquish my right to the throne. There's no doubt about it. I have to be the next Empress. Only time will tell, but I think I am the best possible choice under the circumstances. I don't doubt that, Your Grace. In fact, I'm rather relieved to see you have already thought about it. Like you said, our country needs stability. We can't get away with a weak-willed monarch on the throne. I'm sure you'll be a wonderful Empress, Maddie. His words were barely a whisper, but I was sure of what I had heard, and I felt my cheeks redden a little. He seemed embarrassed by his own boldness, and blushed more violently than me, while I flashed him a smile to reassure him. It had been years since I had last heard him call me by my name. Even if I had no doubts about my own abilities, it was always refreshing to see the trust he gave me. I cleared my throat and regained my composure so I could give my orders. This would be a long night. Who else knows about the assassination for now? Alexander seemed surprised by my question and frowned a bit while searching his mind. When I found the body, I immediately went to warn the advisor, and both of us rushed to see you. The only ones who know about it are the guards who were patrolling with me and your father's personal maid who was passing by. We knew it would be bad to attract attention, so I had her discreetly sent to the dungeon for interrogation. How about the guards who were stationed before my father's door? Both are dead. I also had their corpses taken to the dungeon for examination. I paced the room, lost deep in thought. You've done well. Now we have to keep it all a secret. It's imperative that no one else hears about it. Your Grace, this won't be an easy secret to keep. Obviously, we won't be able to do that forever. I only need a few days so I can stay ahead of my detractors. Alden looked thoughtful for a few moments, then he nodded. I see. So you want to act before everyone else, which should give you the upper hand. Exactly. Very smart. I have no doubt that some people will want to take advantage of the situation. Even if you are unquestionably the rightful heir, your place will be fought over. But if you don't give them time to react, that could make things a great deal easier. That's what I was thinking too. I'd love it if the situation was more straightforward, but this is a little white lie, and the alternative is the chaos of a wildly disputed succession. Alden nodded, and I continued, developing the rest of my plan. In the meantime, pretend that His Majesty is not feeling well and investigate discreetly. I see. I'll order my men to stay silent. I'll also ensure that they haven't said a word so far. About that, it might be wiser to ensure that they can't talk at all. Low-grade staff is known for its gossiping, even the guards. My men are trustworthy, they would never disobey. Would you be willing to bet on that if it could jeopardize the plans for your new Empress, to whom you have only just sworn allegiance? And that maid, can you also guarantee she'll keep quiet? His teeth clenched, his hand gripping the hilt of his sword. Alexander shook his head. The weight of Alden's word had also fallen heavily on my shoulders, and I observed both men while contemplating my next steps. This decision is yours to make, Your Grace, but I strongly advise you to silence them for good. Alden was right. The most effective way to ensure someone stayed quiet was to have them killed. However, there could be other alternatives to consider. Such a decision could not be taken lightly, because whatever I decided, I couldn't afford to regret it. Ooh, I see. Okay, so we have three options here that either cost army, influence, or money. So the army cost have them killed or pretend they were collateral damage of the assassin. I'm sorry, Alexander, but we cannot afford to take any risks. The money option, when you explain to them that they mustn't say a word, give them a few coins and promise them more once the secret has been revealed. And in the meantime, send them on vacation far away from here. That should be enough to guarantee their silence. For both of these, we have 10 owned. So it's 10 money, 10 army. And it says we also only have 10 oh, because we chose religion. Sorry, I forgot we for some reason I thought we chose the other one. So now we have 10 on each. I kind of wish I'd chosen this option now so we had more influence to spend, but the influence option says ensure their loyalty by promising a much better position once them crowned. Even if they were really tempted to talk about what happened, this should be a good enough motivation to ensure their allegiance. Well, I don't want to kill them because Alexander seems too sweet, and I don't want to kill them because that will upset Alexander. And I don't really want to give them money because I feel like if we give them money and then promise them more, they're going to be like, well, if you stop paying me, then I'm going to tell someone, and then we'll end up owing the money forever, and there's only so much money we have. I'm going to say this middle one to say, look, I gave you a better position and I can strip it away at a moment's notice. If basically say to them, if I'm putting my trust in you, you put your trust in me as well. I will give you a better position, but you cannot tell anybody what happened here. I'm going to go with the influence one and see what happens. I saw Alexander sigh in relief and imperceptibly loosen up. Alden, however, shrugged and bowed to me. Yeah, Alden wanted to kill people. Alexander wanted to save them. And to be honest, I feel like we went with a good option here because he wasn't going to be happy. Like, Alden was not going to be happy if we left them alive. Alexander wasn't going to be happy if we killed them, and there was only one option for kill. So it was more of a chance that Alden was going to be mad at us. I think we went with what was best for us and our future, to be honest. That could work. Yes. Time will tell. I have faith. Besides, if I'm right, I'll be surrounded by trustworthy people, which is always useful. That is also the other thing I considered, right? If we know that they're not going to tell, and they accept this, and then we can keep them close and see them here and they don't tell, we know that they're trustworthy because they kept this secret. I'd spoken with determination, perfectly hiding my own doubts. Humans are unpredictable in nature. It was a bet, and I could only hope it would pay off. In any case, even if the servants talked and the rumour escaped, I still had my chances. The advantage I was building would be precious to me, but it wasn't the only weapon in my arsenal. Can I count on you, Alexander? He straightened into a military stance and immediately bowed. Of course, Your Grace. I'll do my best to convince them. You've made the right decision. Without further ado, he bowed once more and left the room with a heavy step. Alden seemed to be lost in thought for a moment, giving me time to come to my senses before he bowed down in turn. I must at least inform the Master of Murmurs of the situation so that we may launch an investigation. I nodded, aware of our lead spy's discretion as well as his efficiency. Once that is done, I'll come to you to plan for the rest of your ascent. Once more I nodded in approval, glad to be offered a little interlude that would allow me to gather my thoughts, and to dress decently while I was at it. After all, even if the coronation hadn't taken place yet, deep within me, I knew it. I felt it. I was the Empress. Oh, what an interesting start. Right, spring, day 8, the morning. The sun had now been up for a few hours, promising a beautiful day, but I knew I wouldn't be able to appreciate it. Now that the rush of adrenaline with the news had passed, all I had left were doubts on the days to come, which were going to be exhilarating as much as terrifying. I was gambling my future, along with Callidia's, and that was a big deal. I'd spent the past few hours readying myself and redefining the details of my plan to appease my latent nervousness as best I could, but that didn't help me shake off my main preoccupation, the servants. Like Auden had said, I had made a risky decision, and I'd been torturing myself for hours wondering if it was worth it. I was restless when I heard the knock, and leapt to the door, opening it for Auden and letting him in. There, Your Grace, we have followed your orders. I hadn't seen that he was accompanied by the Master of Murmurs who came in after him. A slight discomfort washed over me. His role inside the palace was vital, but since I was a child I had been terrified of his hidden face and the mysterious aura that surrounded him. Nevertheless, my discomfort turned into amazement when I saw him remove his hood as if it were nothing and turn to face me. My brain had pictured the worst for years, and it was very unsettling to finally be able to put a face to that man. I realized he wasn't as monstrous as I had imagined. In fact, I was so shocked that it made me forget the reason for my visitor's presence, which seemed to greatly amuse the Master of Murmurs. Is there a problem, Your Grace? Oh, it's just, I didn't know that you could show your face. To be honest, I do what I want, but in principle, I only remove my hood in the presence of my sovereign and their close collaborators. Though I like to entertain the mystery and anonymity that comes with the job, it would be far too dangerous for me never to reveal my face. Some people might use that to usurp my identity. I see. Though it was disconcerting, it was also rather reassuring to see that a man as important as a Master of Murmurs already acknowledged me as his sovereign. Alden cleared his throat to recall me to my duty, and I suddenly remembered the reason for the 2 men's presence, which immediately made my anxiety flare up. To keep myself from staring at the Master Spy, I faced the advisor and fully focused on him. Did everything go well? My anxiety must have been conspicuous, even if I was doing my best to put on a confident expression. The servants seemed convinced by our offer. They left the palace without complaining, so I suppose we can count that as a win. Despite all that, it's still a bit early to be sure of anything. I gave the Master of Murmurs and Alexander the task of keeping a close eye on the situation. The Master of Murmurs slowly nodded in assent. We'll know more tomorrow, but for the time being, there's nothing more to report. I lifted my eyes to meet my advisors and flashed Alden a reassuring smile. Clearly, he read my emotions better than I had thought, and I couldn't allow myself to visibly waver at such a critical time. I know that, and what's done is done. Now we must focus on the future. Bring the High Priest to the council room. I need him to contact the Quadrato. Robert is a pious man. Are you sure it's a good idea to confide in him? Everyone likes to think the devout never lie, but one doesn't obtain a place like this without cheating a little. I admit that the idea of lying to him came to me for a fleeting moment, but to fool him would be a complex task, and I'll be needing his support when the time comes. The people put great stock in men of faith. Very well, Your Majesty. Would that be all? Yes, thank you. The Master of Murmurs showing us his face, That was an interesting twist I didn't see coming. He did that so quickly and casually. At least he sees us as our true sovereign. The fact that he revealed his face, that's a big step. You summoned me, Your Grace? Yes, thank you for coming, Robert. I gestured for him to sit down while I settled behind my father's imposing desk. Like I'd predicted, my behaviour made him lift a curious brow, but I pretended not to notice it. I won't beat around the bush. My father, the Emperor, died during the night. Clearly, we had done a pretty good job at keeping that a secret, since the shock on his face seemed genuine. What? But how? And why am I just learning about it now? I need to pray for his soul. I tried to appease him with a wave of my hand, inviting him to sit back down, since he looked like he was about to get up. He was murdered. For the time being, we're keeping his death a secret so we can investigate without causing any sort of panic. It was the Master of Murmur's idea. He's convinced he'll be able to find the assassin more easily this way. Drowning in information, the High Priest slumped into his chair and took in my half-truths, while I assumed a saddened expression. It truly is a tragic situation. Keeping quiet and hiding my mourning is a very hard task for me. I know it's a lot to ask of you, but you need to keep this a secret. I want to do everything in my power to uncover the murderer, especially since I'm scared he could come after me. Once more, I was quite proud of the quivers in my voice, and my acting seemed to be effective since I saw a spark of compassion light up in his eyes. I understand now why the general was guarding your door like a common soldier. With a closed expression on my face, I nodded, searching for the right words. The first and main reason I've summoned you here is so that I can confide in you and ask you to pray for my departed father's soul. Oh, of course, Your Majesty. I'll lock myself up in the Great Temple and dedicate myself to the task. My face still sad, I gave him a tight, grateful smile, but inside I felt relieved. His prayers should keep him busy enough that he wouldn't be tempted to reveal everything. Now I could move on to the true reason of his presence here. But before that, this saddens me, but I have another favour to ask of you. Of course, Your Grace. What is it? Well, Alden and I are afraid that all the upstarts across the kingdom will rush to the castle and try to usurp the throne as soon as my father's death is made public. In their greed, many forget that my line sits on the throne by the grace of the four. So, I'd like to send a letter to the Quadrator and have him support my coronation, as well as reaffirm my legitimacy. Once more he stayed silent, and I tried to hide my worry behind a veil of sadness. I hated that my plans depended on a single person, but I didn't have a choice. Only rulers and high priests can hope to quickly reach the ultimate leader of the cardinals, and I technically wasn't Empress yet. I understand, yes. You're Magnus V's only legitimate child. The throne should be yours. That said, I don't know if the Quadrator will approve of your advent. Perhaps if you were married, your candidacy would seem less inappropriate. I felt my body tense up at his words, and it took all I had to conceal how irritated I was by this reminder. I knew I would be told such things. I had mentally prepared myself for it, but obviously it hadn't been enough. It's an issue, yes, and I'll do my best to find a fitting husband quickly, but you'll agree that I cannot entrust the throne of Caledia to just anyone. I have plenty of suitors, but I need some time to study each and every one of them. That's not something that can be done in just a couple of days, or even weeks. In the meantime, we do need someone to lead the country and make sure it doesn't sink into chaos. And if a regent were to be appointed, I'm afraid he might refuse to give the throne back to me and my husband, which would lead the whole country to a bloodbath. No one wants to see another era of murderous plots, like during Magnus III's time. You're right, Your Grace. We cannot let such a tragedy befall us. I'll go write a letter to the Quadrator right away to express support for your coronation and explain our situation. Satisfied, I let out a sigh of relief. I thank you for your support, High Priest Robert. It means a lot to me. Swiftly, I opened one of the desk's drawers and pulled out a thin, sealed letter. While I was waiting for you, I humbly wrote a few words destined for the Quadrator. We've never met, and I hoped this would help him to get to know me a little, as well as reassure him of my faith in the Four. I was thinking that perhaps you would be so kind as to add it to your own correspondence. Once more he seemed to be caught off guard, but he smiled instantly and enthusiastically. Of course, Your Majesty, it is a great idea. Relieved, I gave him the letter in question, while thanking him once more for his support and his help in these unprecedented times. I only hoped he didn't have the audacity to break the seal, because even if it did contain a few cliches on my virtues, the letter mostly made promises that could actually motivate the Quadrator. Oh, we get to choose. Okay, so we have a money option or a religion option, which we have more of. So it's actually a higher monetary cost. So if we go with the coin option, it says, I knew that gold made the world go round, and so I promised a hefty donation to the great temple of Meridian. Knowing his taste for luxury, I knew that he wouldn't be insensitive to a few more riches. And if we choose the religion option, it says, being truly pious myself, I had been corresponding with eminent scholars from Calidia and Meridian, and, by sheer luck, I had discovered the two of them were conmen. I was sure that, should I reveal their names, the Quadrator would see that my faith was sincere, and that I was happy to be of service to him in complete secrecy. The fact that we have extra religion makes me tempted to go with that one anyway, because we have extra religion points to spend, and it's less cost than for the monetary. Like, it's 3 coin, and we only have 10, and it's less for religion, and we also have 20. But the other thing I like about this is it's not just religion, it's the fact that we are smart enough to have figured out that 2 scholars were con men. So we're smart, we studied them, we figured it out, we have this information, and we're giving this information to them under the guise of being like so pious that it's for the benefit of our faith. And they will see that our faith is sincere and that we will be of service to him. And I like that it's in complete secrecy as well. There's so many layers to this one, and I love this as our answer. In the past, keeping my mouth shut and letting these charlatans run free had been quite hard to stomach, but Marjorie had taught me that it was important to play my cards in the right order. Today, I could only thank her for her advice, which would allow me to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. To play with a man as powerful as the Quadrator, and I wasn't talking about his possible connection to the gods, but his actual worldly power, was a risky move, but it was worth it all. The dice had been cast. I could only hope for things to go well, and prepare the field for my conquest of the Calidian nobility. And on to the evening. Our work is done with the priest. Our letter has been sent to the Quadrator. I'm not sure exactly who or what that position is, but I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. And now it is the evening and we are in this stunning library. This is the dream. I am jealous. Give me this room right now. Despite my desire to act for the time being, I couldn't do anything but wait for the Quadrator's answer. Even if the letter had left that very morning, Meridian was far away, and I knew I couldn't hope for an answer for at least 3 days. I had to chomp at the bit and act naive. My first thought was to mingle with the court so I could clear my head, but then, pretending that nothing was up and feeding rumours to justify my father's absence was more frustrating than doing nothing. Even Marjorie's presence irritated me. Despite her advanced age, as soon as she turned her inquisitive eyes onto me, I had the impression she managed to perceive the truth. And so, I had taken refuge in the library, hoping to read a little, but in all honesty, even if I managed to unscramble a few words, my thoughts were far away, and my mind was replaying the events of the previous night, asking myself again and again if I had done the right thing. Your Grace. As if he suddenly realised where we were, the Master of Murmurs repeated his interjection in a lower, albeit just as zealous, tone. Your Grace, we have an urgent problem on our hands. This preamble was enough to make me abandon my boring reading, and I put down my book, ensuring there weren't any indiscreet ears in the library before I invited him to continue. After he also made sure no one was around, he pulled back his hood and resumed his explanations. As you know, I have asked to keep an eye on the 3 people aware of your father's death. However, barely 24 hours have passed and I have been told that the maid immediately went to a noble, the Baron Torben of Lavalos, instead of leaving town. I conducted an investigation, and I'm almost positive the 2 are in a relationship. I've interrogated her colleagues, who confirmed that she's had a rich benefactor for a few months already, and everything hints at his name. I didn't really care about my servant's romantic endeavours, but I wanted to know where he was going with this. Are you afraid she'll speak? Yes, and I'm afraid the Baron wants to use that information to glean more power. Is he trying to blackmail us? No, we've had nothing of the sort, but tonight he's holding a party to which half the nobles currently in the capital are invited. That cannot be a coincidence. No event justifies for such a party to be improvised. It's improper. I'd admit the situation is very odd, but do we have any proof? Unfortunately, no, Majesty, only suspicions. I took in a few deep breaths while I pondered the situation and calculated the risks. If these allegations happen to be true, I would be stuck between a rock and a hard place. Not only would my plan to gain time fail utterly, but everyone would know of my deception. Moreover, if she didn't speak, now that I knew of this maid's allegiance, I wasn't sure it was a good idea to give her a better position down the line. That would give her more opportunities to spy on me for the Baron. What are our options? There aren't many, Majesty. Either we do nothing and wait to see what happens while preparing to counteract possible rumors, or we have both of them assassinated to eliminate any risk of leaks. But the Baron is an influential man. There are far fewer chances of his death passing unnoticed than that of a simple servant. Tired, I massaged my temples to help me think about the best course of action in the situation. Death was most definitely the best way to stop someone from talking, but the reason I wanted to avoid such methods in the first place was because they disgusted me, and they could well have unwelcome repercussions for me. Would allying myself with the Baron be a possibility? It's true that this information will give him power, but not as much as having an Empress owe him a favor. I think it could work, but do you really want to start your rule indebted to such an ambitious man? That was indeed the risk. I could always double-cross him once the danger had passed, but that would undeniably have after effects. Do we have an idea of what he wants? I'd like to know what I'm getting myself into. If I had a few days, I would have been able to tell you, but I can't answer you in time for the party. Sighing once more, I closed my eyes to better contemplate my options. Okay, we have 1 free action and 2 that cost. So our free option here, it says, when one plays, one must expect to lose. I'm ready to accept the consequences of my actions, even if it won't be easy. I'm afraid trying to fix things will only make them worse, and I don't want to fall into such a vicious cycle. I'll wait to see what happens. We should prepare as best we can for what is to come. It sounds like the free option is do nothing. That's a little bit of a risky move, that one, I think. We have 2 options here that cost, one of which is 3 influence, of which we only have 8, so this will take us all the way down to 5. And it says, right now, what matters most is to solve this issue. If the Baron demands more than he is owed after all is said and done, we'll decide what to do with him. But he might behave reasonably, which would mark the start of a fruitful alliance. We won't know until we try. We at least have to attempt to reason with him. So this uses our influence to try and form an allegiance with him. And then the other option here is 1 influence and 2 army. Before I've even read it, I can assume if we're sending the army, we're sending them to kill. And it says, I despise having to resort to this solution. Because the servant hasn't been trustworthy, I don't have much of a choice. Have them murdered before tonight, and make sure this can't be traced back to me, otherwise consequences would be even more disastrous. I don't want to kill them. I know that she told on us, but it felt more like, from the sounds of things, that she was in some kind of romantic relationship potentially with this Baron. So maybe it was like her needing to vent and be like, this thing happened and I needed to tell someone to get it off my chest. So maybe, I'm not saying that is, but potentially that's one option, is she went to somebody she trusted. We don't know anything about the Baron at this point to know whether or not he's going to turn us like this against us. I feel like it would benefit us to take quite a solid step here and say, you know this information now, I'm going to get ahead of it before you have a chance to make a decision on anything, and we go to him. Let's try and make an alliance, and if it doesn't work, as we say, we can deal with it later. We still have 10 army points. If we need to send them to murder him later, we can, but I want to try and see what happens here if we make an allegiance. I'd like to share your optimism, Your Grace, but the Baron of Levallois never seemed a reasonable man to me. Well, in any case, I bend to your will. Since Advisor Alden is more adept at this sort of negotiations, I'll inform him and let him lead the discussions. Nevertheless, I'll stay at the ready, in case the Baron refuses to listen to reason. Very well, I'm counting on you. Thank you, Master of Mysteries, whatever your name was, Master of Murmurs. He's gonna go and basically stand menacingly in the corner and be like, if you don't listen to what this man has to say, know that I have many concealed weapons on me. The Master of Murmurs gave me an elegant bow and departed, leaving me alone once more, with doubts gnawing at my mind. I waited for the end of the day with more nervousness than usual, unable to concentrate, fearing the arrival of the Master of Murmurs as much as I hoped for it. It was already late when Alden knocked on my door to inform me of the evolution of the situation. I was convinced a man like the Baron would be in favour of some arrangement, but there were so many things that could go wrong. Your Grace, I've spoken to the Baron of Levallois, who turned out to be quite stingy with his information. To my greatest shame, I am unable to tell you what he knows exactly. He's remained very vague on the subject, but he clearly hinted at having information that could harm you. I did as you wished, and suggested that if he supports your ascension to the throne, he'll have your eternal gratitude. He accepted in principle, but he seemed to doubt that you intend to uphold your side of the bargain. He's asking for a guarantee. A guarantee. Alden nodded with a sigh. He wants a document written and signed by your hand to make this alliance official. I couldn't blame him for doubting my honor. After all, I had considered breaking my promise if the price to pay for upholding it was too high, but what he asked me was impossible. I can't do that. That would mean admitting to my schemes. At the moment, all he's got is the word of a servant, and no proof that I'm directly involved. I won't hand it to him on a silver platter. I wholeheartedly agree with you, but these are his terms. Exasperated, I took in a deep breath before grabbing a sheet of paper and some ink from my desk. I'll write him a letter in which I declare that I owe him a favour for services rendered without giving any details. This should be enough to prove my goodwill, and if it doesn't suit him, it means deep down he never wanted to commit to this arrangement in the first place. We won't have any choice then, but to use your methods. Very well, Majesty. I'll bring it to him right away. Honestly, I think that's probably the best thing we can do at this point. If we basically write a confession, he can do whatever the hell he wants with that. He can take that and show it to anyone and be like, it's written in our handwriting with our signature and our official seal. And if we do that, we basically have written a confession that we know that this has happened and we've kept it from everybody, and that's going to look really bad on us. Thank you, Alden. I'm sorry to use you as a courier. It's beneath you. He gave an amused laugh. Oh, you'll be surprised, Majesty. This has often been my exact role. I dozed off, seated at my desk, when someone knocked at my door once more, and I woke up at the start. So, Alden, how did it go? It seemed he had spent hours on the task, which was rather worrisome, but he had come back without the letter I had written. He accepted this compromise. For the time being, he doesn't want anything in particular, but I'd trust him to let us know when he's ready to claim his favour. And the party? It must be in full swing at this time of night. I don't know if his main goal was to harm you, but in any case, he had another excuse ready. He announced his engagement to a noble from Vargas, Dame Lilia of Valentum. I nodded with a sigh. I didn't know when this would all come back to bite me again, but at least the situation was under control. Thank you for your help, Alden. My pleasure, Your Grace. We'll continue to keep a close eye on him, but you can relax for now. Smiling, I nodded, aware that I was in dire need of sleep after so many strong emotions. Day 10, so we've skipped an entire day here. Your Grace, this is a little premature, but should you become Empress, you will need to manage the kingdom's policies. I'd like to make sure that you're ready for such a task. Ooh, okay, so I'm hoping, if I'm saying one can always learn more, playing through the tutorial. If you say I am, it skips the tutorial. Let's do the tutorial and let's see how we're going to have to go about managing this stuff, because we've spent resources so far, but we haven't had any resources come in, so this might teach us a little bit of how to manage some of that, so one can always learn more. As you already know, the kingdom's policies influence how your subjects, noble or otherwise, view you, but also what resources will be available to us. You can set tax rates for the people and the nobility. As you may have guessed, the higher they are, the less happy the people will be, but the faster the coffers will fill up. But there are many other things, much more subtle. For example, you can decide how open to trade our border should be, or which sectors of the economy you'd like to focus on. We must also consider how to protect ourselves from our neighbours, especially bearing in mind Vargas's warlike inclinations. But maintaining an army is very, very expensive. As such, investing in diplomacy may offer better results in the long run. And finally, we have to manage the priests. Their influence on the people is immense, and they have infrastructures all over the nation. Offerings made to them are never wasted. We set up regular periods of time during which we collect earnings, but there will be a short delay before the consequences of any changes you make can be seen. The story alternates with phases of gameplay, which are triggered between two scenes. During these phases, you will be able, among other things, to modify your kingdom's general policies. Gains will be distributed at the end of the gameplay phase. Okay, is that clearer now? As and when it comes to it, we'll learn by doing at this point. We have the basic information. Let's go ahead and say, yes, I understand. Yes, even if it is all very theoretical. That's true, but the best way to approach the subject in a more concrete manner is to look into it yourself. Even if it'll only be doing this work after my coronation, may I try my hand at it now? I'm sure there are things that I'd like to change in my father's policies. Oh, okay. There's a lot of information on this page. Let's go through it one thing at a time. This entire tab is labeled Politics, and up here it says the summary works as follows: your current resources, future gain and loss. At the end of each scene, you will lose or gain the resources marked in brackets until you change the policies. So at the moment, say we have taxes set to moderate. It says the people understand and you receive a moderate amount of money. Money plus 2. If we swap that to low, we only get 1, but we get plus 5 people, which will be a happiness for the people. And if we set it to high, we'll get 3 money, but the people will be angry even if the money will flow endlessly. We'll lose people. So putting on moderate has no effect on the people, which down here currently is 15, but we will get plus 2 money. Then offerings. We have low, moderate, and high again. Currently set to moderate for plus 2 religion and minus 2 money. You will help finance a good part of the temples and academies across the realm. If we lower that down, we lose money. We gain 1 religion, but we lose 5 people here. So it says you will only give a meager financial contribution to the priests. So actually, to be honest, it lowers absolutely everything. There's kind of no point in doing that in a way, because basically the only thing it changes is that we lose 1 less money, but we lose religion points. If you put it to high, it changes so that we lose more money, but we gain more religion and more benefit with the people. So that will actually break us even if you were to change that. You'll help finance the majority of the temples and academies across the realm. So let's put it back to moderate where it started at. Trade. Restricted, controlled, and free. It's currently uncontrolled. Small taxes are levied on products traded between countries. -1 goods, plus 2 money. We change it to restricted, we get -5 nobility. Oh, heavy taxes are levied on products traded between countries. We get money, but we lose nobility. Actually, you know what? That seems bad in every way, to be honest. We get less money and we lose nobility. Like, yes, we don't lose goods, but also that just seems bad in every way. And if we have free trade, we lose 2 goods, but we gain extra money and 5 nobility. This is interesting. Foreign traders can freely come and sell and buy in Calidia. This one's interesting, right? Because although we're losing less goods, we're actually already producing like a profit of goods. We have this set to resources, and that's actually producing a positive number of goods right now. So actually, it makes sense that we put it on free, because it seems everything else goes better. I'm immediately going to change this to free trade and see how this affects the rest of it. Economy. We have crafts, resources, and farming. Under resources currently, since your economy will be focused on the exploitation of raw resources. +1 money, -5 to people, +3 to goods. We change it to crafts, we get more money, more nobility, but 2 less goods. And if we swap to farming, we still get 3 goods. It's the same amount. People goes up by 5, but we don't make money off of it. So for crafts, you'll focus on craftsmanship, especially luxury items. And farming, your economy will be focused on agriculture and food production. So depending on what we do for the rest of this here, we can change this so that we get a bonus with the people and even more goods. If we set it to this one, it's like upsetting to the people, but we get the same amount of goods and a little bit of money as well. For now, let's save it on resources. We can see we need to change that later. Army. Maintain, dismantle, or expand. So if we do maintain, you'll properly maintain your current army. Army +1, money -1. If we expand it, we get 2 army, but 2 less money. You recruit new soldiers to expand your army, and if we dismantle it, your armed forces will be reduced, but they will be cheaper to maintain. We'll actually lose 1 army a day, but we'll gain money from it. I'm going to stick with maintain for right now. We'll see. Maybe later on we'll change it. I kind of want to go with a route with this playthrough where we can see, like, if we don't spend a single army point. Let's try not to kill anyone. And then finally we have diplomacy. Minimum, cordial, or active. Under cordial, it says you will send at least 1 ambassador to each neighboring country, a +2 influence and -1 money. If we set it to active, we get extra influence and less money, but +5 nobility. You'll send a full delegation to all neighboring countries. And if we swap it to minimum, we don't lose any money, we gain 1 less influence, and we lose nobility. I think we'll stick with cordial for right now. I don't really want to lose the extra money. And we are gaining +5 nobility from our trade, from having the extra free trade. So I think I'm happy to leave that there for right now. We are not doing so well with our people. If we swap to farming, that stops us producing money there, but we get more goods and more people. More goods will help with our trade, and it sort of balances us out so we get like more plus to the people here. So everything's on a positive if we do this. The only thing is that we're not getting a lot of money from this. I'm tempted to just dismantle the army, to be real with you. I kind of want to just do that. And it's going to be -1 army, and this is going to happen at the end of every gameplay session if I understand it correctly. But I kind of want to see if we can make a run where we don't use single army points. So this will actually get us bonus money. I'm tempted to do it. Let's go for it. Why not? Like, I could set everything to a positive so we're gaining points like wherever, but I'm going to make things harder on myself and I'm going to restrict myself on my army points. I think it'll be a really fun way to play. That sounds most excellent to me. Okay, all the way to day 15 now. Look at all of that coming in. Money, religion, the army has been dismantled. All of the points down the side there. Dawn had barely risen when I heard a kerfuffle at the door and I immediately recognised Robert's voice. I got up with a groan and quickly slipped on a dress, trying to make myself presentable before opening the door. High Priest, what's going on? I tried to remain as neutral as possible, but I was burning up with a mix of anxiety and excitement, because I had a solid guess as to what this was about. The Quadrator. He answered, Your Majesty. Nervous, he handed me 2 letters bearing the recognisable seal of His Holiness. Your name is written on them. I didn't dare open them, Your Highness. Exhilarated, I looked at the 2 pieces of paper that were about to seal my future. One seemed official, while the other was explicitly for my eyes only. I would have liked to be alone when reading them both, but clearly it had taken Robert all he had not to break the wax seal on the official letter, and now he stared at me impatiently. My throat was dry as I grabbed a paper cutter to open the correspondence, and my heart was beating so fast I had the impression everyone in the room could hear it. Lady Maddie of Terranfell, daughter of Magnus V of Terranfell, the fierce Emperor of Calidia. The 4 have spoken and have recognized you as the legitimate heir of the crown of Calidia by virtue of your blood and despite your gender. By this decree, I convey the words of the gods. May your governance be respected by all the just and the pious. May your rule prosper and never stray from the 4's faith. There is the signature. I was shaking so hard I felt my legs give in, and I had to sit on my bed so I didn't fall over. I had done everything in my power to make this moment happen, but now that it was upon me, I was engulfed by all the emotions I had accumulated in the past week. Robert seemed to understand me, and he bowed to leave me a few long seconds so I could take in the Quadrator's words. Finally, he spoke up. That's marvellous, Your Majesty. I knew the 4 would acknowledge your legitimacy. Almost timidly, I nodded and tried to recover my usual composure. With the Quadrator's support, my coronation was sure to happen, but that didn't mean I was rid of enemies or other contenders. I couldn't let my guard down yet. Yes, the time has come for everyone to know the truth. Gather the nobles in the castle at dawn and prepare the pigeons. He nodded, a grave expression on his face. Yes, we can't wait any longer. The secret of your father's death couldn't have been kept indefinitely in any case. It was true that his absence had been going on for a while, and a possible illness worried people just as much as a possible death. It was fortunate that these letters hadn't taken too long to arrive. I'll be there. I just need to finish getting ready. Of course, Your Majesty. I'll have the bells rung, but at such an early time I don't suppose we can gather everyone in less than an hour. I approved with a polite nod, and soon I watched him leave and close the door. Finally on my own, I collapsed on the bed and let myself gloat. I whooped in pure childish joy as I read the Quadrator's letter over and over again. I knew that I had plenty of challenges ahead of me, but this was my first victory against traditions, and I intended to savour it for as long as I could. Only after a few long minutes had passed did I decide to open the second letter, which was addressed to me personally. Lady Maddie, your message came to me as a surprise. Even if I'm always wary of gossip, I've still requested that Inquisitors investigate the people you've mentioned. To my astonishment, your allegations were found to be correct, and the impostors have been stripped of their titles as scholars as well as of their riches. It warms my heart to know that the throne of Kalidia is in the hands of a pious and clairvoyant Empress. I am personally praying for your rule's prosperity. Well, thank you. I don't know if I would say that I'm clairvoyant so much as I'm very savvy with research, but I will take it. Happy with my decision, I sighed and carefully put the letter away into my desk. Pretty promises were easy to forget. I could perhaps use the parchment to remind him of his support one day, or to show him some reluctant noble just how popular I was with one of the most powerful men on the continent. In any case, I believe that my actions had managed to sway him, and I was quite proud of that. Now it was the court I had to sway, and I knew this wasn't going to be an easy task. Make sure not to over-exert yourself, Maddie. You're spending your days locked up in this office. You should get out a bit to clear your head. Come take a walk with this old lady. I've left the door open, and although I hadn't heard Marjorie come over to me, I wasn't surprised since the perfume, when she applied too liberally, had filled the room. I almost felt nostalgic for a moment. Contrary to what she seemed to suggest, I wasn't here for pleasure. I was overwhelmed. Invitations, solicitations, promises. I spent the last 3 days flattering Caledian nobility to ensure that nothing would interfere with the coronation in 3 weeks' time, and I still had a lot to do. Oh, perhaps you can fool everyone else, but I know you're far from being an old lady, Marjorie. My reply made her laugh, a hoarse and joyous sound that belied what I had just said. Oh, I still have the same quick wit I had when I was 20, but I'm afraid my whining bones disagree with you, sweetheart. Come on, don't be cruel. You already broke my poor heart when you didn't let me in on the secret. I put my quill down with a sigh and closed the inkwell, hoping its contents would not dry out. She had taught me many things, and even if I had grown stronger than her in a few areas, it was obvious that she still used guilt like no one else. She almost made me feel bad for hiding my father's death from her. You know full well I didn't have a choice. The information had to be disclosed to as few people as possible. I know, sweetheart, but I would have liked to be there for you. These past few days mustn't have been easy. No, they weren't indeed. As promised, I quietly walked by Marjorie's side through the garden, but we couldn't take one more step before some servant or noble offered me their condolences. I'm so tired of pretending to be sad. I know your father was a flawed man. She paused, looking at me as she seemed to hesitate to say something. I looked at her, intrigued. There was so much contempt in her voice when she spoke of his flaws that she obviously knew something about him, something I probably didn't. But no matter what anyone says, he was your family, your blood. You shouldn't hate him like that. It's not healthy, especially now that he's dead. I sensed from her tone that I'd get nothing more from her, at least not today, and I didn't insist, draping myself once again in my indignity. No, that's too easy. You can't just die and expect that all your mistakes will be forgiven. It's not as though he chose to die. And so, it doesn't change anything. She sighed, and I decided to change the subject before I had to listen to another lecture on the importance of family bonds. But, since we're speaking of forgiveness, I need your help. Suspicious, she frowned, although she kept walking calmly between the flower beds. I would like it if you gave me... Fear Castle? Is that a place? That old dilapidated fortress? What for? Pretending to admire some insects that were flying around the planters, I hesitated for a second. I needed the fortress to buy the Faram's loyalty, but Marjorie held deep hatred for them. I didn't like lying to her, but I couldn't run the risk that she'd refuse my request. Tell her the truth, even if she won't like it. Keep things vague. I feel bad for lying to her. Like, she's already made me feel guilty about the fact that we didn't tell her about what was going on. She's not gonna like it. She's gonna berate us so badly, but like, I don't want to lie to her again. I need it, because I'm going to give it back to the Faram. Upon hearing my words, Marjorie froze, trembling with anger. You want to give it back to those vile traitors? Do you know how many men died storming it? Do you know what this fortress cost me? I knew she would react that way. Even though the war had ended about 20 years ago, she still bore painful memories of it. Yes, I know all that. But it all took place before my birth. It's time we move forward and reconcile with the Faram, lest we repeat the mistakes of the past. I don't want another Faram revolt under my rule. I need the support for my coronation, and to obtain that support, I need Fear Castle. You know just as well as I do that it's only a ruin now, an odd pile of rubble left on steep and barren land. It's nothing more than a symbol. My old heart grumbled for a few long minutes, but she was forced to concede my point, even if it cost her. Do what you want, but believe me, once you become Empress, I'll call in the favour. Thank you, Marjorie. I knew I could count on you. Relieved, I finally let out the breath I hadn't realised I'd been holding. Knowing the affection Marjorie held for me, I knew that I'd end up convincing her, but as I had a meeting with the Faram heir in 4 days, I didn't have a lot of room for errors. With one less issue weighing on my heart, I continued my walk with a bounce in my step, forgetting for a few minutes the court's problems and plots. Yeah, I'm glad we said that. I'm glad we told her the truth, because it was like a weight on our heart. We're like, we didn't want to lie to her. Oh, hello, Master of Murmurs. Oh, that's not the Master of... He looks like the Master of Murmurs. Are they the same person? Have we ever seen them in the room at the same time? This was my first time ever meeting Theodore or Faram. I had heard him described as a cold and distant man, but I still didn't expect him to be so glacial. I waited for him to deign reply to my greeting, as courtesy demanded, but the silence between us was deafening. He only stood there staring at me, impassive, without even so much as a good morning or a nice to meet you, while I had to keep smiling, not to lose face. Cool, he's just not going to say anything to us. Alright, this is not awkward at all. I had better things to do than engage in a staring contest. Consequently, I swallowed my pride and gestured to one of the chairs around the staff table, where a large map of Calydia had been laid out. I imagine you must be tired after such a long trip. Please, sit down. I thought he was going to stay standing there, but he did finally sit down without another word, while I took a seat not too far from him. Like I said in my letter, I'd like for the Turinfell and the Faram to reconcile. The tensions between our families have lasted long enough, and I imagine a sudden desire to make peace has nothing to do with the upcoming coronation. Monteliat are eating out of your hand, but the Foildor will never support you, which means you very much need us. Coming as he was from a lineage with a somewhat barbaric reputation, he'd done a fairly clever analysis of the situation, but I didn't let that stop me. Very much need is a bit strong. Should I remind you that I have the support of the Order, and by extension the Four? The people will follow me. That said, I do wish for my coronation to go as smoothly as possible, and the rest of my rule as well. I'd like to avoid bloodshed altogether if possible, and I fear that the ancestral enmity between our two families might lead us to just that. Neither you or I were born when the Faram revolt took place. It's up to us to decide if we want to perpetuate this cycle of conflict, or if we want to build something new. He took on a thoughtful expression and observed me with renewed interest. It's easy for you to forget. You're on the side of the victors. You haven't been rehashing your resentment for 20 years. Precisely. Wouldn't it be easier for you to forget as well? Especially if it's been haunting you for that long? Even if you were inclined to consider your offer of a reconciliation, how could we trust you? I won't give you a history lesson, but that revolt didn't happen for nothing. He was following me exactly where I was leading, and it took me some effort to repress a smile and keep a businesslike countenance. Firstly, I am not the same person as my father or my grandfather. It's unfair to distrust me as a result of their actions. And secondly, I'm ready to make a gesture of goodwill if the Faram are ready to make one as well. I'm listening. If you openly support my ascent to the throne, I'm ready to return your family the Fear Castle Citadel and the lands that go with it. This time, I savoured the true surprise in his eyes when I handed him the deed that I had taken the time to prepare. As you know, it was confiscated after the revolt, since it's located at a strategic crossroads between the Turinfell and Monteliat. I thought it would be a strong gesture to return it to you, but also quite a symbol of trust. After glancing over the signed pledge, Theodore looked at me once more, with defiance this time. There's no doubt that my family would appreciate the gesture. I was already basking in my victory when he continued, his voice cold. But as for me, it only makes me see that you're one of those politicians ready to use every dirty trick in the book if it will give you what you want. I have been warned that you're the rightful heir of that snake who used to lead the Monteliat, but now I'm seeing it with my own eyes. So yes, indeed, we will accept your offer and support your coronation, because, unlike you, we stick to our word, but you should know you're not fooling me. I'll remain at the palace to make sure you don't stab us in the back as soon as you've achieved your goals. In the end, his analysis of the situation, or indeed my character, wasn't as clever as I had thought. I was ambitious, there was no denying that, I wasn't shy about it either, but my desire to make peace was just as sincere. Stay at the castle if you wish. Dukes are welcome here at any time, but you'll get eaten alive by the court if you always speak your mind so plainly, my lord. He shrugged condescendingly before getting up. Oh, I'm very capable of defending myself, Majesty. I just choose not to use the same venom as you do. That doesn't mean I don't know how to protect myself from its sting. No one liked being called a snake, but even if it was unpleasant to be treated with such hostility by someone whom I had never done anything, I had gotten what I wanted. I didn't wish to risk making him change his mind by starting an argument. Time will tell. I do hope you'll change your mind about me, but as long as the Faram uphold their end of the bargain, you're free to think whatever you like. Don't say that as if you were doing me a favour, Your Grace. Even Empresses don't have dominion over people's thoughts. And in order to keep me from having the last word of our point of sparring, he immediately turned on his heel and slammed the door. Furious, I was engaged in deep breathing exercises when Alden walked in. How did things go with Theodore Faram? He shrugged with a sigh. I suppose it was all right. At least the Faram should support my coronation. That's all that matters. How about you? Did you manage to convince Leon? As you suspected, he's not inclined to support you. Apparently, he and his brother fear that the Calidia will become a second Assyria. I raised my eyes to the sky, not hiding my exasperation at these words, as if it were enough for a woman to lead the empire for us to become a matriarchy. Have you at least convinced them not to openly oppose the coronation? Yes, as you suggested, I implied that a civil war wouldn't be good for business and that you were easy to manipulate. Was that enough? Yes and no. The man's smarter than I thought. He took this as an opportunity to claim the position of treasurer. Treasurer? Look at him go. Since he believes you're incompetent, he thinks that that's the only way for him to ensure that the country stays on the right track and that the Voyaldor's economical interests are preserved. Upset, I bit my lips while I pondered the implications of such a nomination. I didn't want him to stand in my way at every council meeting, but there was no valid reason for me to refuse him this privilege either. I imagine before asking for that position he encouraged the current treasurer to retire? That's correct. A pretty house by the seaside is waiting for him, and now he can't wait to be gone. I imagine we don't have a choice then. I'll summon Leon tomorrow and pretend to be a naive ingenue who's happy to let him take on big responsibilities. I sighed heavily, and Alden stepped towards me with a discreetly amused smile. Are you sure you'll manage? Manage? Playing the easily influenced ingenue? I sighed, offering him a reassuring smile. It would not be fun having tea with such a conservative man, but there was nothing insurmountable about it. Oh, don't worry about me. I can play dumb when I need to. I spent my whole life appearing less dangerous than I really am. I should be able to pretend, just this once. You might have some nasty surprises down the line, however. He nodded, with a gleam of pride in his eyes. I trust you then. Oh, it's been a big day of information, my gosh. So much has happened this day. Your Grace, news of your nomination to the throne has spread quickly. We've received a letter addressed to you from the Queen Maeve of Assyria. My respects, Empress of Calidia. I wish to write to you so I can congratulate you on your recent nomination to the throne, as well as offer my condolences for your father's death. Assuming power is a heavy responsibility, but I have been told that you are very capable, and I know that Calidia is in good hands. Calidia and Assyria have always maintained a solid diplomatic relation. I hope that they will continue, nay, prosper, under your rule. Up until now, the matriarchs have always been opposed to non-commercial negotiations, but your nomination has made them curious. We dare to believe that in your presence, my emissaries and myself will cease to be subjected to the patronizing condescension that your predecessors invariably displayed, and that made my country's past rulers so wary of further interactions. The gods whisper to me that your ascension to the throne signals the dawn of a new era for the continent. Therefore, I wish to support you as much as I can. With the matriarch's assent, I have decided to mandate an emissary, whose role it will be to liaise between our two nations. Her name is Asha Isabis. She is an exceptional woman who I hope will be welcomed into your palace as she deserves. With all my sympathy, Maeve, Queen of Assyria. That's wonderful news. I'll need as many allies as possible during my rule. Indeed, diplomacy is a delicate art, but it's fundamental for Calidia's prosperity. You'll need to woo the neighbouring countries and ensure their goodwill towards us. But we'll talk about that later. For now, we have a coronation to organise. If you saw there at the side of the screen, it did pop up there saying diplomacy is not available in the demo. I think we have just about enough to sink our teeth into right now that I'm not mad about the fact that we don't have that in the demo, but good thing to note at this point, that is where potentially we might have to start getting involved in diplomacy stuff in the full game. That's going to be a fun little extra to be able to do when the game comes out. day 36. Let's go. And there it is. There's the beautiful dress that we chose at the beginning. The former queen's outfit, the gold, the weightiness. It looks absolutely stunning on us. And we look nervous as heck, but we also look badass. The big day had finally come. Impatient and nervous, I paced my bedroom while checking my hair and my outfit for the umpteenth time. Nothing was easy, as per usual. I was supposed to display poise, elegance, and grandeur, all while remaining humble. All right then. Despite all that, I felt ready and dignified, and I only waited to hear from Alexander, who would escort me, since my father wasn't in a state to do so. Time was passing by at an infuriatingly slow pace, when finally he knocked and walked into the room, clad in his ceremonial attire. That armour and the pompous cape that went with it didn't suit him, and I suppressed a smile when I saw him squeezed into it. He does look super uncomfortable, bless him. Ready, Your Grace? Almost timidly, I nod while he politely bowed to let me pass in front of him. Then he followed suit, respectfully walking one step behind.
Her Grace, Maddie de Terrenfell, Princess of Calydia, Duchess of Terrenfell, Lady of Vermont, blessed by Amatera.
I closed my eyes and savoured this title that I was hearing for the last time. When the herald would announce me next, I would be Empress of Calydia. I didn't remember having ever seen the throne room as packed. Clearly, when I had been told that the entire castle had gathered here, it hadn't been an exaggeration. To try and hide my nervousness, I walked at a slow pace, my head held high, my eyes levelled at the throne. My curiosity slowly got the better of me, and while I tried to remain as dignified as I could, I let my gaze wander discreetly in search of familiar faces. Alden, of course, stood right next to my throne, his face impassive, but his eyes bright enough that I could see the pride reflected in them. Robert was there too, my future crown already held in his hands. He did his best to appear as imposing as his function required him to be. In the nobles section, I recognized Leon of Voildor, surrounded by his family, conversing with other nobles who were vaguely familiar to me. Leon, if we remember correctly, I believe was the guy who appointed himself the new treasurer. To my surprise, I also spotted Theodore, leaning against a pillar, his gloomy aura seeming to hold people at bay so that he wasn't drowning in unknown faces. As I passed by her, Marjorie gave me a smile, and I felt her perfume reach me, calming me despite its loud scent. Finally, the last step stretched before me, and I suddenly realised that I couldn't hear the crowd's hubbub anymore. The only sound was my heart beating in my temples. Ceremoniously, I knelt in front of this throne that was still forbidden to me. Soon, I had cause to praise whomever had the brilliant idea to place a small cushion under my knees. The blessings were proceeding at an infuriatingly slow pace. I listened to them with only half an ear, but I still displayed my most serious and focused face to honor the solemnity of the ceremony. The day before, Robert had asked me if I wanted to celebrate tradition by taking the name of one of my predecessors, or if I'd rather start my own dynasty. Oh, we're keeping our own name, baby. We're like one of the first females on the throne, especially in our area. I'm not honoring my ancestors. I'm starting fresh. We are doing it our way, starting anew. We are keeping our own name. Thank you very much. I understood the importance of traditions, but I was much too proud of who I was to give up my name, my identity. I wanted to carry it with pride for as long as I would rule. I didn't know the sermon by heart, but I knew it would soon be ending, since the whole place seemed to grow livelier. With each passing second, both the crowd and Robert's voice vibrated with renewed excitement until the key moment came. I closed my eyes and braced myself for the weight of the surprisingly light crown that he delicately placed upon my head. Rise up, Maddie the First de Terrenfell, Empress of Calydia, first of her name, Duchess of Terrenfell, Lady of Vermont, chosen by the Four and blessed by Amatera. You shall bow no longer, since from this day and until your death, in the name of the gods, I entrust you with the charge of guiding your subjects and making Calydia shine bright for decades to come. Slowly I rose and turned around to sit on that throne that had been meant for me. Then I opened my eyes to look at the crowd. It suddenly went quiet, and an almost religious silence settled in for a few seconds.
Long live Empress Maddie the First!
Alexander's voice resounded next to me, oddly loud, and as it shattered this almost dreamlike moment, cheers arose from all sides in a spectacular chaos. The general enthusiasm was contagious, and I caught myself smiling and waving at the crowd with a bit too much vigour. I mean, we're doing it our way. They might have been solemn and moody beforehand, but we're allowed to smile and wave. We're the Empress now. The party was in full swing, and I was still beaming. My head was starting to hurt with the incessant solicitations of people coming to pay their respects. You should empty this glass into a flower pot and ask one of the servants to pour you grape juice instead. Or maybe I'd had too much wine. If I was being honest, I couldn't remember how many times my glass had been refilled, but one thing I knew, it had never stayed empty. Even if Marjorie was probably right, I pouted. Come on, Marjorie, am I not allowed to have a bit of fun? It is my coronation day after all. She shook her head with a tender smile. You can't do this precisely because it's your coronation day, sweetheart. Some people might be subtler about it than others, but everyone is watching you and judging you. She was right, and I knew it. I had let myself relax perhaps a bit too much, carried away by my enthusiasm. That acknowledgement didn't stop me from heaving a deep sigh of despair. Well, I didn't come here to coddle you. I know you're perfectly capable of managing the situation. I just wanted to officially congratulate you. No one deserves this title more than you, and you'll make an incredible Empress. Her face sparkled with pride and affection, and I felt my heart melt under her praise. Her opinion had always mattered a lot to me, and I felt myself go back to the little girl I once was, who always sought her approval. I hesitated for an instant, but finally I let myself gently hug her, making sure not to spill my glass on the process. Thank you, Marjorie. Thank you for everything. She kindly stroked my hair, and I stayed in her embrace for a few moments, just long enough to regain control of my emotions, which were threatening to make me cry. She gently patted my back to remind me of my duties, and I finally let go of her, my face now wearing a more neutral expression. Go on, sweetheart, I won't keep you any longer. People are queuing to talk to you. She was right. As much as I tried to hide it, many people stood nearby, waiting for an opportunity to pounce on me as soon as I'd be free. The quickest to the mark was a young woman I had never seen before. One look at the pretty dreadlocks she sported, decorated with small golden jewels, told me her background. Magnificent coronation, Your Grace. Her melodious accent convinced me I was right, and I flashed her a courteous smile. Thank you. Lady Asha, are you not? She seemed surprised for a second, then her face lit up. Well, I'm flattered you recognized me before I could even introduce myself. I don't know who spoke of me to you, but I do hope they said good things. She gave a small laugh as if to brush off this pleasantry, which I knew had a much deeper meaning. After all, I had indeed heard a lot about her, both from Queen Maeva, who had warmly recommended her to me, and from Robert, who had tried to paint her as an ungodly heathen and temptress the minute she had set foot in the capital. Of course, your queen keeps showering you with praise. Then allow me to return her kindness and tell you how fantastic Maeva is. She'll make a formidable ally. A familiar way of talking about her ruler made me quirk an eyebrow, but I didn't mention it. After all, Assyrian customs were much different from ours, and her relationship with her queen was none of my concern. As long as she didn't use the same casual tone while talking about Caledian nobility, there would be no issue. In any case, I do hope Caledia is to your liking, Lady Asha. Unfortunately, I still haven't had the time to visit your beautiful lands and to taste your many specialties. Therefore, the question may be a bit premature. She gave me a smile, but it didn't reach her eyes, which made me see that her answer was an elegant way to not speak ill of the place without lying. Now that it was my castle and my nation, it did upset me a little, but I couldn't be mad at her for finding the place a bit drab. My father had never had a keen eye for interior design. I was about to ask her more futile questions when Robert stepped into the space between us. The gesture was overtly rude, but his position allowed him to act in that manner, and I turned away from Asha to listen to what he had to say. Your Majesty, please forgive me for interrupting, but I must speak with you on a topic of the utmost importance. He barely hid the dirty look he gave Asha. She understood the message and gracefully curtsied. I'll go breathe some fresh air in the gardens, if you'll excuse me, Your Majesty. I mentally took note of where to find her if I wanted to continue the conversation, and bowed to her in lieu of goodbye. Then I focused my attention on Robert, wondering with some trepidation if something bad had happened. What's going on? Don't worry, Your Majesty. Nothing that will spoil your night. I just wanted to make sure that you were taking my warnings about the Assyrian diplomat seriously. I don't find her trustworthy at all. I had to hold back a sigh. It was quite distressing to see him go to such trouble, only to interrupt my conversation with a foreign dignitary. Please be comforted. She wasn't inviting me to dance naked in the sea in honor of the snake goddess Sith. I said that in a playful tone, hoping to lighten the mood, but he looked even more upset. You should take this issue at heart. These people are insidious. They seem nice. You let your guard down, and by the time you realize you've fallen into the trap of a witch, it's much too late. I didn't have the patience to hear more of this, and I took an offended expression. I wasn't really religious, but that wasn't the point, or my faith for the Four was sincere and I was truly offended. Well, so far, I feel like we haven't really had a particular dedication to our religion. We chose the religious point right at the beginning, but that was more a case of knowledge as opposed to faith from what I took from the description. So we have knowledge about religion, but I don't see us as being particularly religious. We're kind of like, we needed the Four to back us, so we became Empress, but I don't think we really care much about their opinion, other than the fact that we need their approval. Also, what on earth has happened between Robert and the Assyrians? He has some kind of history there, like maybe some woman tried to tempt him out of religion and into her bed, and he was like, offended, how dare she? But I don't know, I like Asha. I think she seems cool. Even if I had my doubts about the real existence of the gods, especially since I'd studied them, I knew the influence of the Order and how powerful religion was in general. Unlike Alexander, I couldn't afford to openly proclaim my doubts or let anyone assume that I wasn't a good believer. Fortunately, I was very good at pretending to be offended. Do you believe my faith could be so easily shaken, High Priest? Taken aback, he immediately softened and apologized profusely. I relaxed in turn. I'm taking note of your worries, and I promise I'll be careful. But you must also understand that you simply cannot say such things about a foreign guest, especially not in public. This could have serious diplomatic consequences. He scowled once more, but didn't say a word, politely bowing instead. I understand, Your Grace. A short silence passed between us before he turned away, mumbling something about prayers he had to make. For the first time of the night I found myself alone, and no one came to talk to me. Perhaps fear of getting caught in the fallout from this tense conversation. I enjoyed that respite and decided to go and talk to Theodore, Alexander, or Asha. This is interesting because we have a few, they're all very different conversations to have here. If we go to Theodore, he is somebody who really doesn't like us, so I'm kind of curious to see what kind of snippy comments he has to say about us, because he showed up, but probably out of courtesy more than anything, to be like, I'm here because I said I approved it. Alexander is our childhood best friend, and of course we know he's going to be like, you're amazing and everything, yay! But it seems that she lets her guard down around him a little bit, so we could have a nice cute little conversation between childhood best friends. But Asha is interesting. I kind of want to know more about Asha. I'm so intrigued because she's come in on a recommendation from another queen. She's gone I like you and you're about to become another female lead. I'm going to send my representative over. And Asha seemed kind of to be a little bit cheeky. I really wish I could get your guys' opinion right now to see which one we should choose between Theodore and Asha, because this is a hard choice for me. I'm I want to go and see them both. Can I see them both? No, I'm going to go and speak to Asha. I'm sorry, I want to go and flirt. I was very aware of how ironic it felt to meet up with Asha to continue our conversation. Robert's words buried in a deep, dark corner of my mind as if they had never existed in the first place. Like she had mentioned, she was enjoying the fresh breeze in the gardens, and I had no trouble finding her. She was leaning against the balustrade of a gazebo. Casually, I came closer and I leaned next to her, admiring the stars. I'm terribly sorry for that rude interruption, but one can't keep the gods waiting, as the saying goes. The little phrase was supposed to lighten the mood, but Asha gave me an undecipherable look that piqued my curiosity. Forgive me, I know your customs, but some of them are very hard for me to grasp. You mean the fact that we have different gods? To my great surprise, she shook her head, making her hair dance around her. No, we have so many gods, I wouldn't be surprised if yours existed in some way in our pantheon. It's rather the concept of priests that baffles me. Gods are all-powerful beings. Why would they lend their voice to fallible humans? If they have anything to say to anyone, I'll speak directly to the person in question, without the risky interference of a go-between. Clearly, I wasn't expecting that line of thinking, and my mind, fogged up as it was by alcohol, didn't help me find convincing arguments. That irritated me quite a bit, as I always disliked not having the final word. Asha must have mistaken the nature of my contrariety? And she flashed me her most beautifully contrite smile. Oh, she's enjoying this. But I'm rambling. There are so many more interesting things to talk about, especially tonight. Like your magnificent coronation, or this delicious wine from the islands that you've been serving, for example. I usually wasn't one for small talk, but I couldn't get enough of her melodious accent, which emphasized her impeccable pronunciation. Almost by instinct, I swirled the contents of my wine glass, which I had been foolishly holding untouched since Marjorie had warned me. At least this time it allowed me to get to know my interlocutor. You're right, it is good. It's of Assyrian import, isn't it? She swirled the wine around in her own glass, her gesture practiced and skillful, before taking a little sip, her eyes closed. Yes, without a doubt. Black Castle, even. Half doubtful, half impressed, I didn't hide my surprise. You can tell where it's from, just like that. Yes, before working for Queen Maeva, I was a trader in that field. In fact, my travels were the reason I discovered your culture and learned your language. Once more I looked at her, intrigued and impressed. You sail? Numerous superstitions made it so that women were unwelcome on board of ships in Kalidia. Just imagining her on the seas was breathtaking. Oh no, I didn't have any seafaring skills. I'm incapable of reading a map or using a sextant. I leave that to the captain. I only take care of the products. Or rather, I used to only take care of the products. How impressive. You look as young as me, and yet you seem to have led a much more eventful life. My reply seemed to surprise her, and she tilted her head to the side, making the metal beads on her hair chime. I think you're a bit younger than I am, Your Grace, and besides, you're Empress. The title made me smile almost despite myself, but I didn't entirely remove the melancholy from my voice. From today only, I could only guess the life that she had led, but I felt frustrated in comparison to have waited all these years in the shadows. All I had done was study and place the rare pawns at my disposal in the best way I could to prepare my coronation. Without the stroke of luck that had ended my father's life prematurely, I could have waited much longer. The scholars always said he was as healthy as a horse. Solemnly, she held out her glass to invite me to toast and looked me in the eye. But you'll rule for a great many years to come, and I'm glad to be here in Kalidia to witness it, Majesty. She seemed sincere, and somehow her words managed to lighten my heart, while our glasses clinked against one another. She was right. Holding on to the past was useless. I had to look to the future, now that I truly had the power to change it. And I'm glad to have you by my side as well, Asha. I hope that the bonds between Assyria and Kalidia will be strengthened thanks to your presence. I'll do my best, Your Grace. There was a short silence while we sized each other up and happily recognized in each other the same wit and the same strength of character. Finally, she lifted the glass to her lips and drained it with a sensual sort of elegance. I set aside Marjorie's advice for a second and followed suit. This party was, after all, held in my honour, and I wanted to savour a good glass of wine in good company under the stars. This scene is so pretty, by the way. Can we take a second to admire it? Like, not only are these women absolutely stunningly drawn, like, they've got all of the shine in all the right places on the jewellery, the glint in their eyes, they look so at ease here, but the scenery in the background amongst the stars, it is perfect. Spring day 37 is the next day after the coronation. Your Grace, as you surely know, an essential task that comes with your role as a ruler is to listen to your subjects' petitions. They've accumulated since your father's death, and even before. He was never very fond of that duty. Now that you've been crowned, you'll need to dedicate them a fair share of your time. It's especially important because the other advisors and myself have gotten used to lodging petitions on matters that require your attention, but do not fit into the council's agenda. Okay, explain it to me. How do we do this? All of this is very new to me. I won't say no to further explanations. Petitions are matters that require your informed judgment, whether they pertain to trials, grant requests, or other various issues. The other advisors and myself are usually tasked with submitting them, but we may also pass on requests coming directly from your subjects. I divide them into two stacks: urgent affairs and current affairs. Of course, urgent affairs must be attended as soon as possible. I've added an exclamation mark to the stack for more clarity. As long as all urgent affairs have been dealt with, I won't give you any current affairs, so as not to distract you with futile matters. As with everything that requires your input, petitions may necessitate the mobilization of certain resources, but don't forget that they can also offer opportunities. Good decisions can turn out to be quite lucrative. Finally, you must keep in mind that improving the living conditions of your people will ensure their affection for you and, in the long run, will contribute to the realm's prosperity. Is that clear? Okay, so we have current affairs and urgent affairs. Urgent affairs need to be dealt with immediately. Current affairs are like less urgent things, but like still are things that are going to help us. We either have to use resources or there are opportunities to gain resources. I think we understand. Perfect. I suggest that you deal with one of mine first. It's an issue that has been on my mind for a while. He took a moment to rummage through the items on the table before handing me a sealed parchment roll. Here you go. Well then, I'll let you study that on your own and go about your business. Feel free to go through more of them so you can grow familiar with the process. You will be informed of their outcome in due time. Alrighty. Even if the crown is yours, then be wary of your bastard brothers. For some, an illegitimate son is far better than a woman, and I wouldn't want the nobility to use this excuse so they can rid of you the first chance they get. I've tasked the Master of Murmurs with investigating them. At the moment, it seems that most of them live a modest life as craftsmen or servants, but the simplest minds can be the easiest to sway, especially since you haven't established any bond with them, which means that nothing will stop them from betraying you. I suggest dealing with the issue in a permanent way. Okay, so he sent the Master of Murmurs to investigate our brothers. Alrighty, 3 options here. Option 1 costs 2 influence, option 2 costs 3 influence, and option 3 is 1 influence and 2 coin. We haven't spent any coin yet, but we have spent a lot of influence. We are up to 7 now, but we haven't had a chance to make too much. We haven't spent any money yet though, so we have 13 to play with. Okay, option 1. You're right, it's best not to take any risks. Though I loathe these methods, I can't risk civil war or a coup. I've given too much of myself to end up like that. Have them assassinated. As I said, I do want to try and do a run here of little to no violence if I can help it. Obviously our dad was murdered, there's not much we can do about that unfortunately, but I don't want to choose to have any assassinations if we can help it. So let's have a look at the other 2 options here. As long as they haven't done anything to me, I refuse to let paranoia get the best of me and have them assassinated. However, I do recognise that my half-brothers are a threat, and I believe we should definitely keep an eye on them. Assign spies to each of them and we'll decide how to react if they start plotting against me. So that's basically planning for the future of like having them followed and waiting to see what happens. And our last option here is I refuse to become a tyrant like my father and to let paranoia trap me in a spiral of violence. So I'll take the opposite approach. I'll make them happy, which would ensure that they don't have any desire to take my title from me or to cause me harm. Send someone to ask them what they want and do your best to satisfy their wishes, but make sure they're aware of my role as their patron. Again, I have the question though of if we give them whatever they want and we give them money and we give them like a new house or whatnot, are they then going to be like, oh, so you're going to pay me to not challenge you? Well, what if I threaten to challenge you? Are you going to pay me more? I'm kind of tempted to just like give them spies, because although this, yes, we can make them happy, and some of them, I don't know how many bastard brothers we have, but I don't really know if we have much to do with the rest of that side of the family, how much of them have been like actually paying attention to us. So I'm kind of tempted to do reconnaissance first and then only pay off the ones that we need to. Say we have like five bastard brothers, right? If we give money to all 5 of them, we're definitely losing out a bunch of money, but if we watch them, 3 of them could go on to do their own things and 2 of them are like up to something, like up to no good. I mean, it's been long enough, right? It's been what, 36 days and not one of them has come up, so I have a feeling at least half of those brothers don't care. So I'm tempted, as much as it's going to sink our resources of influence, I'm tempted to go down this route and just only deal with the ones that we have to deal with. Your Grace, all our spies are in place and for the moment they haven't noticed anything suspicious. Okay, good. Following the first report, I've decided to set up increased surveillance around Aaron Villis, who appears to be having a fling with the daughter of a local lord, and Yasin Le Cordonnier. I don't know how to say that, I'm so sorry, as he is at the Count of Virois's court. I keep you updated on the situation's evolution. Okay, so I kind of made a joke about maybe there's 5 brothers, 3 of them are okay and 2 of them aren't. So we're watching Aaron Villis and Yasin Le Cordonnier. Put 2 potentials here, so we're going to keep watching them. I guess let's see what happens. We have 2 remaining turns. We can do petition, politics, or events. I don't think we need to change anything with politics because we already saw that tab. So let's have a look at the petitions and events and see what these say. Or not, because events is only available in the main game. That's fine, because that means we can use both our turns on petitions. Your Grace, this won't be an easy task, but I'd like to suggest a modification of the current inheritance law, in use since Magnus I. The goal would be to simplify it and avoid potential bloodbaths in the absence of a male heir. Taking inspiration from the rather vague rules of the first kingdom of Terranfell, which had allowed Melisandre to become queen, I suggest changing the law so that the firstborn of the family becomes the heir regardless of their gender. There's no doubt that such a big change might not please everyone, but I do think that in the long run this would only benefit Kalidia. So this is kind of helping us in a way, and helping other people like us, because at the moment it's still going based on the fact that it has to go to a male heir. I like the idea of it because it means that the firstborn. Say if we get to keep our thing and we have a daughter and a son, it doesn't automatically go to son just because he's male. I kind of like that idea, but let's see what the options are. Oh, they're all free. Okay. All right. I'm here to embody change even if they don't like it. This new law will be promulgated. Help. And we will have to be uncompromising in its application so it takes root. Such a change would be beneficial, but it would be hard to overturn the customs of an entire nation. Amend the law, but bake into it the possibility for a family head to designate in their will another heir amongst their children. If they believe the eldest isn't fit to govern, that will allow the most stubborn among them to circumvent the rule, but will solve an issue if a situation similar to mine arises. Oh, that's an interesting choice. That will still give the idea that we're going for, but then it means, say, like, the firstborn is a woman and the woman's a piece of shit, then, you know, we can pass it down to somebody else who's actually going to be better for the job. And our third option here is, I think this change would be beneficial, but it's probably too brutal and could create more conflicts than it resolves. Let's leave the law as it is, but clarify it. Let's just add an amendment specifying that in the absence of a first-degree male heir, or a will indicating otherwise, the female heir will be preferred if there is one. I quite like this one in the middle, like the in-between of, like, yes, make it so that any gender can be there, but also have a possibility of somebody to basically say, technically this person's the firstborn, but the firstborn is not fit to rule, so I as the family head am overriding this thing to say this next person is there. So, you know, they have a way around it, which isn't going to be necessarily great, but also, I don't know, there's still a chance. I think I like this middle option. Oh, minus 10 nobility. Oh, they didn't like that. Few nobles snashed their teeth when they saw these changes, but since they're still able to elect their sons, they only bared their fangs on principle. Okay, so we maybe saved ourselves a little bit of backlash there by having an option in there that they can elect their sons. Overall, I believe the law has been well received. Many people have recognized that indeed it will help avoid useless and bloody succession wars. Great. Good for us. Luckily, we had a lot of nobility points, so we could spend it on changing the laws. Let's go, women heirs. Right, we have one more point left. Let's have a look at one more petition here. Your Grace, this doesn't come as a surprise, but rumors that you have had your father assassinated are starting to spread. Uh-oh. Apparently some letter you sent a few years ago to one of your tutors in which you poured out your hatred for your father is being circulated, along with the accusations as proof of your evil doing. Uh-oh. At the moment, we still do not know who is behind these rumours, especially since bards are spreading the information all across the realm. What should we do? Of course it's the bards. Bards are singing our song everywhere, and the second they get given gossip, they're like, let's write a song about this right now. It's going to be a #1 hit. Oh, Master of Murmurs. He really is trying to help us, isn't he? Please give us the option to flirt with the Master of Murmurs. Oh my gosh, these are expensive. This is wild. Okay, option #1 involves army points, 3 army points, and 2 influence. We actually can't afford the final option because we don't have enough points for it. That's interesting. Let's look at the last one because we can't choose it anyway. So it says, I wonder who could have started the rumor and obtained the letter. Send our agents to investigate my former tutor's old residence. Once we know who stole the letter, we can use the situation to our advantage and accuse the thief of having assassinated my father. And if we need further proof, we can always fabricate something. So we can't blame it on whoever stole the letter. That is not an option that we have this time around, so we have to choose between the other 2. First option, round up and lock up all of the bards who spread the rumours. Then find all copies of the letter and destroy them. Finally, make it known that it is now forbidden to even mention the subject, and anyone who does so will suffer the same fate. That sounds like such a bad option. No, it's basically going, somebody's gossiping. Quick, arrest everyone. Like, that looks so dodgy. That makes it look even more like you did it. That sounds like a terrible idea, I'm just going to be honest. If the rumour is already making the rounds, we might as well use it to our advantage. I'll announce that I haven't murdered my father, but that I despised him, and that this hatred means I wish to be a very different ruler from what he was. His death is a gift that has been presented to us by the 4. Everyone feared him if they didn't hate him. In this way, we should be able to find support among those who criticised him. This is absolutely the better option here. I am not sending in the army to arrest the bards. It's literally the bard's job is to be a gossip. You can't round them all up. And even if we could, how fucking dodgy does that look? Let's not do that, shall we? So we're going to go with this one. It will take 3 out of 4 of our influence points, but we have 20 religious points. So we are completely fine on this. So let's do this. Say, we hated him, we're going to be different, but I didn't want him dead. Plus 15 people, minus 15 nobility. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is bad. We just lost 25 nobility in the last like 10 minutes. Your straightforwardness and your aggressive approach to these rumors has taken your enemies by surprise. It does not matter who spread the rumors, they've lost a lot of their influence, even if a few obstinate fools still believe them. The nobility, however, did not appreciate the brutality you displayed. They accuse you of harming etiquette by admitting such hatred towards your predecessor and father. Nevertheless, if the people are still doubtful, your words seem to have touched their hearts, and it seems that they like you more now. Hooray! So the people on the streets like us more, and the nobility fucking hate us. That's fine, they were gonna hate us anyway because we're a female in power, so at this point, I don't care. I'm doing it my way, baby. Alright, spring, day 39, morning. I was truly glad to be Empress now, but as I had expected, I hadn't had a single moment to myself since my coronation. There was an endless and continuous stream of people paying their respects to me, and more or less futile issues to solve. Even if I was happy to finally be able to exercise my power legitimately, I also felt that I needed a break. Thus, after taking care of my most urgent matters, I decided to take a moment to relax in my bedroom, the gardens, or the library. Well, we need to get out of our bedroom because we're either working or we're sleeping. We need to be in a different room. I'm not staying around in the bedroom. So it's between the gardens and the library, and that's such a hard choice for me because she tried to go to the library to relax before, but the guy still came in and was talking to us, and it was like, although yes, the Master of Murmurs knows we were in there and we might be able to see him again, and I kind of want to go there again. The fact that if he can find us in there, other people might. It might not be the peace and sanctuary that we want. So I'm tempted to say the gardens, get outside, get some fresh air, you know, go take a stroll outside and we can get lost amongst the flowers and stuff. So we might have a better chance of being alone. And also we might have a chance of seeing Asha, I'm not gonna lie. So as much as I like books, oh, okay, Ashley tells you who you can speak to. So you go to the library, speak to Theodore. The bedroom is Alexander. Okay, we chose Asha by accident. Let's go to the garden, shall we? Taking a breath of fresh air seemed like the best way to replenish my reserves of energy, especially since the weather was lovely. I aimlessly walked along the garden trails, filling my lungs with clean air, when I saw Asha sitting on a bench, her eyes closed, her head thrown back. She looked so peaceful that I wondered if she was sleeping, and I approached her as stealthily as I could, trying not to wake her up. My spying talents must have been rather unimpressive, since she heard me and opened her eyes to look at me. With a smile, she politely bowed her head. Good day, Your Majesty. Are you here to take a sun bath as well? She unceremoniously motioned to the bench, inviting me to join her. Don't mind if I do. Although I was surprised by such familiarity, I was still tempted, and I sat down on the smooth wood, comfortably warmed up by the sun. I love the dress that we have right now, by the way. I didn't notice all the bits we have on the shoulder. Like, I knew we had the sleeves, but I was so, distracted by those, I didn't see the rest. We have all these, beautiful, pearls and beads all over the arms. It is so pretty, and I only just noticed it. Also, by the way, can we have a moment for how gorgeous Asha's dress is? The gold, the green, it looks so good. It would be a crime to have such a beautiful garden and not want to take advantage of it. And only approve. This is my favourite spot in the palace, alongside the library. Well, I was gonna go to the library, but I'm glad I came out here instead, because Theodore's in the library and he kind of pisses me off a bit, so... I softly smiled at her, letting a lazy silence settle between us until I felt the need to start a conversation. So, tell me, do you enjoy Calidia? It's a beautiful place, but as beautiful as it may be, it only reminds me how much more beautiful my island is. I'd never been to Assyria, but I'd learned the most wondrous descriptions of it. I could understand her homesickness, but at the same time, I felt a touch of chauvinism stir within me. This isn't a contest, Asha. I said that in a joking manner to hide my scowl, but she didn't budge, showcasing once more her talent for subtle backtalk. That's good, because you would lose. This would have annoyed me for most people, but her pert little expression simply made me want to play along, and I replied just as mischievously, If you're feeling so homesick, I can always send you back. And deprive you of the only person with a sense of humour in your court? I highly doubt that, Your Grace. Especially since this place is in dire need of feminine presence. The ratio would crash were you to send me away. Her remark made me laugh, briefly, but openly. Oh, she's getting cheeky now. If what they say about Assyria is true, I suppose it must be strange for you to see so many men holding power. Oh, yes, and it just comforts me in the certainty that we've done the right call letting women rule. Well, don't worry, we tried to change the law to make it easier for women to be here too. If only the rest of my people could hear what you're saying. You think your gender might stand in the way of your rule? Obviously. Don't forget, I'm only here because my brother is dead, and my father never remarried. I've been crowned, but I know many people still doubt my abilities and my legitimacy, and yet, do you feel up to the task? I definitely am up to it. There wasn't a hint of doubt in my voice. My entire life had been built around this rule that was now mine. Asha seemed deep in thought. Have you been preparing yourself? To the best of my abilities, yes. I've read books, many books on many different subjects. I've listened to my elders' advice too. But, well, there isn't exactly a course organised by the scholars for all this. There isn't one. Really. Where I'm from, potential future queens receive a very strict education from an early age, which is destined to make them the best possible rulers. Everything is planned for. And even if you follow that curriculum, in order to be crowned, you'd still need to undergo a whole battery of tests, supervised by the matriarchs. A queen can only be appointed once she's proved her discernment and her value. Impressed with a system that's completely strange to me, I took the information with curiosity. And do you think that's effective? Nothing's ever perfect, but we haven't had a single tyrant since the system has been set up. I'd only say it fosters a certain inertia. Our queens are the protectors of our people. To fulfill their duty, they abandon their names, dedicate themselves to their task, and follow that long training which shapes them. That preserves us from the ambition of a single person who could decide to satisfy their thirst for power at the expense of others. But when you look closely, none of the 12 queens of the kingdom particularly stand out. Her analysis seemed thorough, and far from the simple chauvinistic admiration that I had initially suspected of animating her. That prompted me to take some time as well and ponder before answering. I see. It's true that reigns on the continent are often eventful, but I do think that, sometimes, a strong-headed leader with a distinct personality is what's best to guide a nation in a time of crisis. As I've told you, Your Grace, nothing is ever perfect. And I wasn't trying in the slightest to cast doubt on your reign to come, if that's what you were thinking. If I was wary of you, I wouldn't have told you all these things. Thank you for your trust. Ever since my coronation's taken place, I haven't had a minute to step back and take everything in. Perhaps I'm too defensive. The weight of the responsibilities that come with your title will break many people's backs, believe me, but you can't neglect yourself either, Your Grace. A tree worn down by tantrums of nature isn't robust enough to bear its fruits, and even on that count, I think Assyria is ahead of you. If you want to wind down one day, I'll show you one of the massages we're famous for. A malicious spark flickered in her eye, and coupled with the slightly husky tone of her voice, it made me blush. Eager to hide my embarrassment, I took refuge in humour. If you weren't a woman, I'd have sworn that you're propositioning me. Oh, I was definitely flirting with you, Your Grace. Oh, look at our face. We were like, oh wait, you're serious about that? Yes, she was. Her frankness took me aback, and I found myself stunned silent. Nobles were fond of these kinds of false seduction games, but I'd never seen it take place between two women. And that made me uncomfortable, and that made me want to play along. I am here for it. Asha will continue to flirt with you even if you don't romance her. The other option says that she won't flirt with you outside of romance scenes anymore, so it means that we can either completely shut it off or we can go with it. I am all here for it. I am by myself, and I am absolutely here for this. LGBTQ pride, let's go. You would dare to try and corrupt my pure and innocent soul? My voice was clearly exaggerated and provocative, which seemed to amuse her. Your soul may well be pure, but innocent? I doubt it. You're far too cunning for that. She winked at me. In any case, you know where to find me if you decide to take me up on my massage offer. Believe me, once you try it, you won't be able to live without it. Might be best if I never try it then. It would be most unfortunate if I fell into the hands of a foreign power. She burst into laughter when she saw the falsely worried face I had put on, and I joined her, alternating between open fits and small giggles until my stomach hurt. She was the first to calm down. Her face turned serious and she cleared her throat. I shouldn't bother you any longer. I'm afraid my little nap has dragged on rather longer than I'd planned, but it was a pleasure talking to you, Your Grace. All the pleasure's mine, Asha. Oh, okay, that was cute. I liked that. We have already got such a good bond formed with her. The writers have done such a good job of like making it cheeky and making it suggestive, but without like putting too much into it. But you can read as much or as little as you want into it, and I'm reading everything because she is very cute. She's also very confident. She's come from a place that's very much like, I mean, they all have like women of positions of power. She said they have 12 queens and they can't tell them really apart distinctively because they've all got such respect for the like women in power that they're all just like, I couldn't say one was better than the other or say one significant thing about another, because for us it's just women. It's just strong women leading us. Like, I want to tell her about the new rule we just put in. I want to get her opinion. I want to know everything. Right, if we have a look at politics here and have a look at what our stats are like at the moment. Oh, we have 35 points in people, but we're on -5 nobility. Hopefully we have a chance to gain some stuff back. We are on free trade right now to get extra nobility points. That will bring us back up to just a 0. Our influence is also very low. And I'm looking at the only way to get that back. If we go to diplomacy, if we go to active from cordial, it will take a little bit extra money out, but it gives us extra influence and nobility points back, which might be helpful. We might actually need that. We've just had a couple of really hefty new petitions go out that people haven't liked. So I feel like we should do that, at least for now, until we can next change our option. I'm still tearing the army apart. We don't need the army. The goods and the people I'm happy with. I'm happy with regular taxes. We're still getting some money, and we still have plenty of religion points, so I don't need to go any higher than that. The only thing that would be different there is losing less money, but we also are in bad favor with people. So I'm happy to leave it on moderate. We'll leave it on free trade. I think this is good. I like the way this has gone now. Changing this here gets us the extra nobility, extra influence, because we're running very low on that, which means we're going to have less and less options available to us, and I want to get some more influence points back, so hopefully we get to cash in on our points here. Do we have any new petitions? Your Grace, I've discovered that someone has placed pagan talismans in the palace. One was even found in your living quarters. I do not think these amulets hold any sort of power, but the intentions are quite real. I cannot bear the thought that someone wishes to curse you. With the Master of Murmur's help, we've identified the servant behind these talismans. We have, however, stayed discreet. We will await your orders before we take action. This could give us an opportunity to learn more about the situation. 2 free options and 1 that costs influence. Okay. I don't want unnecessary bloodshed. Find an excuse to fire her and tell her that she shouldn't come near me in the future if she doesn't want the order to find out about her little secret. You're right, we can't let this opportunity to gather information pass us by. Keep a discreet eye on her. She might lead us to other pagans and we might learn more about their intentions towards me. Or arrest and interrogate her in the dungeon on her intentions and her practices. I'm going to go with this one. To be honest, I don't think I care much about what she's up to right now. We need to save some influence points, which we actually now have. We had 1, it says 4 now, so we actually did just get that, so that's great. But no, I'm just going to tell her to go. I don't care. Let the pagans do whatever. Plus 15 people, plus 10 nobility, plus 1 goods, 2 money, -1 army, 3 influence. That's all of the points come in from our changes there. We have followed your orders. Miranda has been fired and she left without putting up a fight. She wrote a letter and asked me to give it to you. I'm attaching it to this report. Okay, so what did she have to say? Your Grace, believe it or not, but I've never harboured any ill intentions towards you. I had the utmost respect for your mother, and when I look at you I cannot help but see her. Your kindness today proves that I was right. The amulet that I had placed under your bed was there to protect you from plots and assassins. I sincerely hope that your rule will be long and prosperous. See, she actually didn't mean anything by it, and that's the thing. I didn't want to do any fear-mongering about it. Like, if it meant bad, then who cares? And if it meant good, then at least we didn't do anything bad. Like, we didn't, interrogate her and put the fear of God into her. We just sent her on our way and said, basically, don't come into my personal space again. And it sounds like she did mean well. We have 1 more turn left that we can use, so let's read the last petition. Your Highness, an important expedition is currently being set up. It would be led by the famous explorer Ohio Smith, accompanied by 2 notable scholars, the naturalist Jean-Baptiste and the cartographer Johann. The goal is to set sail for the far end of the bellicose ocean so they can uncover what hides at the world's end. This scientific expedition would allow us to detail our maps to research the fauna, flora and geography of these new horizons. The scholars are very interested in this expedition and many patrons have already contributed to it, so I humbly ask for your participation. High Priest Robert, okay. I mean, it sounds interesting, I'm kind of down for it. Okay, so we have either 5 coin, 3 coin and 2 religion, or a free option. The free option is I don't plan on funding such an uncertain expedition when there are much safer investments to make. If the scholars are so keen on the expedition, they'll have to fund it themselves. No, I want to fund it. I want to see what happens here. I want to send stuff off. I mean, we were a scholar. We grew up as a scholar, right? So we're all about the information gathering, and we like research. So I'm down to fund it. But we have so many religion points, it could be tempting to do this one just to spread the cost out a little bit. But let's see. If we go full coin only, to learn more about the world is a noble goal. We will gladly contribute to funding the expedition as long as we are the first to hear whatever information it brings back. And if we use this one, if the scholars are so interested in the expedition, they can pitch in as well. We'll fund half of it and we urge the priests and scholars to fund the other half. I'm tempted to say this one because, like I say, it spreads the point out even more. It sounds a little bit harsh, being like, if they're so interested, they can pitch in as well. But, I mean, we have a point. You know, they want to do it. Obviously they need more money to do it, so we'll give them as much as we can, but I feel like they need to have like do what you can and then we'll fill in the rest kind of thing. So let's use some points. We have 18 points here and 15 money, so let's do this middle one. Your Grace, the expedition is up and ready to go. May Basan watch over them. The omens are good. I'm sure that the expedition will be a success. Good. I mean, Robert seems pretty good with that. Like, seemed to be a good reaction. Day 52. The days passed by in a blur, all similar to each other. New petitions to manage, new events to participate in, influential people to flatter. I'd never had any illusions. I'd always known that my life as an Empress would be mainly paced by paperwork and diplomatic discussions, but sometimes it got a bit much. I knew the decisions I was making could change lives and minds, and I hoped that under my rule, my kingdom would prosper, but I couldn't see the results of my hard work after a mere few weeks. I had to settle for little victories, and sometimes I caught myself hoping for something, anything, to disrupt my day. Unfortunately, nothing seemed to be on the cards. Your Grace, would you have a few moments to spare me? But you? Yes. Startled out of my daydreaming, I looked at the unfinished letter in front of me and pushed it aside to give my full attention to the Master of Murmurs, who removed his hood after closing the door. Of course, I'm all ears. Today, a wandering caravan coming from Vargas was attacked by bandits while they were crossing the Elm Bridge. The merchandise was stolen, the guards were killed, and the people in the caravan are now being held hostage to be ransomed. By the fall, that's awful. I was now used to be the one who must find solutions, and I immediately started going through them in my mind. That bridge is a strategic location. It should have been better protected. We'll send men over there, and I'll ask Marjorie to send hers as well. The men are closer by. They should be able to secure the area and limit the disruptions to that heavily trafficked commercial road. I'll put a bounty on those bandits. We have to find the hostages and deal with their captors as decisively as possible. Patiently, he let me finish, but as I saw his expression, I realized there was a lot more to it, and I frowned. Is there something in particular that I should know about this caravan, Master of Murmurs? Softly, he nodded. Among the captured people is one of my agents, a master of spying and infiltration. He'd been in Vargas for a few months to keep an eye on a family of nobles, and he was urgently coming back with some vital information. Does it have to do with my father's assassination? Do you think Vargas is guilty of it? No, at first glance there's no connection. Your father's assassination is still under investigation, even if I have to admit that at the moment we're somewhat stalled. Then, what is this about? That's precisely the issue. I don't know. Apparently, it was crucial information. My agent has always been excessively prudent. He feared that his mail might be intercepted, and therefore, he was reluctant to send me written information, even if our messages are always coded. So, you're telling me that one of our spies, who infiltrated Vargas, has been captured not far from the border while he was coming back with information of the utmost importance, and that you have no clue what that is? Finally, now that the four had decided to grant my wish of a little more excitement, I started regretting wishing for it in the first place. The situation didn't bode well. That's correct. Like you, I do find this coincidence suspicious, but we can't be sure of anything. If they just wanted to cover our tracks, they could have simply killed him right there and then, as well as the guards. Maybe they just got rid of the body? We can't exclude that possibility, but we've received a demand of ransom addressed to his family, like the other 4 hostages. I don't know. Well, in any case, we have to clear up the situation quickly. Do we have other agents stationed in Vargas who could try to learn what our spy knows? A few, yes, but I'm afraid that they won't be discreet enough if they were to approach the same people. The decision is yours to make. Oh, okay, so we have a spy with information. Not to do with our dad, but it's still important information, and he's concerned. If the Master of Murmurs is coming to us going, this could be important information, and he's like, come directly to us with this issue, I think we need to do this here. We have to try. We have the influence point. I think we have to get him back. We need to find out what he knows. Very well, Your Majesty. I'll order them to follow the same tracks as the agent, but he had been there for months. I doubt they can obtain quick results. I know, but if this information was crucial, we don't have a choice. We have to try. I understand. And for the bandits, what shall we do? I just realized I think I actually asked for more information and not for them to find the person, which is a shame because I was hoping we were going to go and find the spy. I kind of thought that's what that meant, but I don't think that's what we're doing. I took the time to think and weigh my options before making a decision. Do we have any information whatsoever on these bandits? If they are who they pretend to be, they've been active all over the territory and always follow this pattern, but we know little about them. For the time being, we have no idea of their whereabouts or who their leader is. Are they trustworthy? I mean, once the ransoms have been paid, will they truly release the hostages? So far, yes, they've kept their word. Okay, now we might have a chance to get the guy back. And there's other hostages as well, but I kind of want to get our spy back as well. Okay, so we have a free option, a money option, and an influence and army option too. The free one says, I believe that the situation is far too uncertain to engage resources. If it's a trap, we'll lose more lives, and I refuse to finance these bandits any further. Even though it'll cost me, the only thing that we can do is have faith in this agent and his abilities. If he's as talented as you claim, he should be able to give the slip to a handful of bandits. I think it's a bit risky. If we go with the money option, it says for the time being, we have no proof that this was a setup. We have to believe at the very least that our agent is alive. If they're known for keeping their promises, the best course of action is to pay the ransom without further discussions. Or the influence army option here is we can't continue letting these bandits live on our lands. Even if they're known for being trustworthy, I absolutely do not trust them, and I don't want to pay ransoms all over the place. Pretend to pay the ransom, but trap them. At least we'll have fewer bandits on our hands if our agent is already dead. Gee, this is tough because I said I wanted to go with as little violence as we possibly could, but at the same time, if the bandits are constantly coming for people on the road, this time we know about it and we're doing something about it because there's a spy. But if we don't deal with it, like how many more of these do we not know about? Should we be trying to stop the bandits, or should we just pay to try and get the people free? Because otherwise, if we just pay them, I feel like the bandits are going to keep coming. I mean, the thing is as well, the other thing with dealing with them this way is it's not just like, we're not just like killing someone because they like found out information. We're taking out people that are like, they're criminals essentially from the way they're describing them. Like, we're taking care of criminals, and that's what the army should be doing. Yes, we want the spy freed, but there are other hostages too, and the bandits need to be taught a lesson. So, oh, I hate this, but I'm going to do it. Very well, Majesty. I'll go talk to Alexander and prepare an ambush. We'll keep you appraised of the situation's evolution. Oh god, okay. It kind of pained me to do that, to be honest with you. Your Grace, even though it had been carefully planned, I regret to inform you our ambush was a failure. Oh god, no. The bandits were well prepared, and when they spotted us, they started killing the hostages and running away. Fortunately, your agent is very resourceful when he managed to escape, bringing him back to the castle right as I'm writing this report. Oh god. One of the bandits is dead, but the rest of the group managed to flee. I desperately want to make them pay for their actions and pursue them, but the agent claims that his information is urgent and vital. We must absolutely meet him as soon as possible. So we managed to free the agent, but the hostages died and the bandits got away anyway. Oh, that's so annoying. Unable to sleep, I got up to take in a bit of fresh air at the window. As much as I told myself there was no point in speculating before I got the spy's report, I couldn't stop the foreboding I felt. And I was about to be proved right. And there it is, I just got the Steam achievement for finishing the demo. Thanks for playing Imperial Grace Demo, we hope you had a good time. If you haven't already, you can join the Discord to follow the creation of the game in real time and talk to the team and the community. This was a lot of fun. It was a long one, but there was a lot of cool stuff in this as well. A lot of the things I see with visual novels in general is that they have a lot of talking and stuff, but this has more than just text. This had resource management in it as well, and that was a really, really cool option. Like, it's not just that our choices matter and make a difference, as is to do with the Choose Wisely Festival. You know, it makes sense that this one's in here, and it's great that this is in here, but there's also more to it. Like, it's not just the choices of who we decide to flirt with or the petition choices, it's like how we decide to manage our politics. And you know, there's so much more to it. This was very intriguing, and I'm absolutely wanting to play more of this. This has intrigued me in such a specific kind of way that now I'm like, now I need to know more. I want to know what the spy has to say. I want to know if we can flirt with Arsha and the Master of Murmurs more. And I say that knowing we didn't flirt with the Master of Murmurs at all, but I really wanted to. I tried. But this is great. I had a great time. I love that we can do some customization to our character as well. We can choose our own name. We do have she, her pronouns because we're playing as a woman, which is the point in this. We can't choose our own pronouns, but we are, for the purpose of the game, playing as a woman. I do appreciate that we had a female and male flirtation option as well. I thought it was a bit too cliche to flirt with Alexander, and although he was like physically handsome, he was also kind of a snake, and I wasn't interested. He looked too much. I think the reason I found him attractive is he looked like the Master of Murmurs, but with a beard. And I'm like, okay, if the Master of Murmur just grew a beard, that would be fine with me. Like, I'm completely okay with that. And I'm definitely happy with our decision to go with Arsha and spend more time with her. This was fantastic. I had a great time with this. Let's go back to the main menu. I thought this was amazing. If we go and have a look at the credits, just to have a look at the acknowledgements while I'm doing this. This is the names of all of the people, the backers and everything. So look at all of these. Like, backers and everything, because they had a Kickstarter for this, and there's so many people that contributed to this, and I can understand why. This was a fantastic demo, and I can definitely see the love that's gone into putting this together. Big thank you to the team and to IAL for messaging me as part of this festival, for allowing me to play this today and giving us a key. If you guys liked this and you would like to see me play the full game, let me know, and I would absolutely be happy to try and do some more of this when the full game comes out. What did you think of it? Would you play it yourself? I think it's great, so let me know your thoughts on it. I had a great time with this today. If we go into the extras, there's not much we can do here. There's the gallery is still locked and we can't go into this, but it looks like in the main game you'll be able to have a proper look at the map and the resources and all of the outfits. I'm curious if there's more outfits and hairstyles to unlock, or if there's going to be more in the main game. But all that's doing is making me need the full game even more. I am excited. As of right now, the Steam page says 2026 for the game release. There is no more specific details than that, but depending on when you're watching this video, there might be an update to that if you want to go and check and see for yourself. They are over on Steam and on itch.io. Both of those links are down in the description, as well as all of the socials that I can find for the team. Please go and give them a follow and check out the demo for yourself if you can. And if you're watching this when it gets released during Choose Wisely Festival, come and join us live over on Twitch at Madmelina. We're doing some more of this right now. And go and check out the Steam page for the festival and the social posts for Studio Ephua, who put this together. They've done an amazing job, and I'm so glad that they've included this one in the festival. Thank you guys for having me. I've had a great time with this today. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching as well. For now, please leave your comments, suggestions, and feedback down below, and remember, it's always tea time somewhere in the world. Bye bye.